We're probably, we try to get started on time because we want to honor everybody's time, but also it's a jam-filled night. So make sure you got your notepads ready. And, you know, if you have a, you know, make sure you have a beverage handy, whether it's coffee, whether it's water. You know, we don't judge around here. If you already got a, you know, old Manhattan, do your thing. This is a safe environment.
Oh, it started.
All right, guys. Say thanks for joining. Everybody that's just jumping in, if you could just drop in the chat where you calling from, where you repping. We're excited you're here. Whether you're here because someone invited you or you got a direct email, you're in the right spot for the night. We've got a jam-packed night full of just amazing content. It's going to be one that I guarantee y'all won't forget. So. Yeah, there we go, Erica. There you go, California. What's up? Thanks for putting this together.
Hey, where's everybody from tonight, guys? Yeah, Nate mentioned that. Y'all go ahead and type in. Tell us where you're from, where you're hanging out at.
Oh, Los Angeles. There we go. We got the West Coast represented, bro.
Pittsburgh, PA, Washington, D.C. Rosa, how you doing, girl? Good to see you. Aiden, good to see you all the way from L.A.
Man. From New York, there we go. NYC in the house. Gonna be a good night, folks. As you guys, if you're jumping in, I think we have everybody muted, but I'm go ahead and as you come in, I'm muting y'all. I don't want to hear you, but I want to hear you right now. Hey, everybody that's just joining, my name's Nate. I serve as the MC for the Growth Stack Drive Virtual Summit, also the virtual series, also our program. Excited to work with Ken on this project and all that we've got going. Thank you all for joining us. We take your time seriously. We know it's valuable. So just know our goal tonight is to be sure that you get as much value that we can possibly give you in a good window of time. We know it's valuable. So just know our goal tonight is to be sure that you get as much. Hey, Stacy, is there one? I'm trying to find it. I don't know if I have the ability to mute all, but I'm kind of going through everybody that keeps jumping.
Nate, if you'll hit the participants button right there, Nate, it'll pop over on the right-hand side and you'll see that link. Yeah, and we can, as soon as you hit that participants button, it'll show you everybody that's in the room. You can mute all, you can invite, you can make co-hosts and all that kind of stuff there.
There you go, got it. And perfect. Man, look at this. We're starting to fill up now. We're going to go ahead and wait a couple more minutes, Ken. Make sure everybody kind of joining in. I know it's at that ripe hour, 6:30 here on the East Coast. If you're on the West Coast, it's 3:30 or middle of your day. If you're calling from the Midwest, which we love, it's only 5:30 there. So we want to make sure some of y'all that's all right. Eat your food. Our only request is while you eat your food, we don't want to see it. So make sure you put that video on mute if that's happening. But if you are sipping something, well, whatever it is, we raise a glass to you. Hopefully it's water for all. We got a lot to learn tonight. As you're just joining us. As you're just joining us, make sure you tap in the chat where you're calling from. Let us know. Give us a shout out where you're at. I'll put my phone on mute so you don't hear dinging all day. Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining in. We're so excited
you're
you're
muted.
here.
If you're talking, Ken, you're muted.
Yes, that's exactly right. I was saying what I was saying was this is technology overload for some of us who may have not been on a call this large. We'll have a couple hundred people registered tonight who will be on with us. We'll have a few thousand people, I'm sure, that'll be watching on Facebook Live and on YouTube Live tonight. So you guys know Nate May is our host. Nate's a real good friend of mine. I met Nate 20 years ago. Nate was traveling and working with Dr. John Maxwell. I met Nate at a conference in Chicago. He was actually emceeing for John. And if you're over 40, you remember what a cassette tape looks like. Nate was actually pitching John's book back then and a cassette tape back in the day. So great to have Nate. Nate emcees our Growth Stack Drive all of our free webinars and our paid online coaching that we do. So Nate, man, I'm gonna kind of let you stir the room up for the next couple of minutes, and then we're rolling about 5:35, man.
Yeah, Ken. Well, thanks, man. It's an honor to work with you, bro. We've for a long time together, adding value to people, and it's when you came over this. I know you had some business over here in Atlanta for some real estate. And you had a chance to hang, man. It's just always good to sit with you. We haven't done that for a hot minute, have we? We sat around a pool. We had us an old fashioned, and had talked about the excitement that was coming for Tuesday, this virtual summit, something that I know you dreamed up a while back, and we talked about. You said, "Is it doable?" I said, "Man, Ken, anything we put our mind to is doable." And tonight we're going to be talking about expansion. Ken's put together a stellar lineup, guys. I've been putting together event lineups since I was 21 years old. I've worked with some of the greats on the planet when it comes to self-help, from all the way from John Maxwell to Jack Welch to the late Stephen Covey to Kim Blanchard to Marcus Buckingham. The list can go on. But when Ken put this together and I said, "What's the ask?" I said, "Kim, what are you asking at the end?" And the man said, "I ain't asking for nothing, man. This is Ken's heart. This is who Ken is." Like, man, I just wanted to get a bunch of people together, add a bunch of value on a Tuesday night. I want people to walk away alive and awake and feel primed and pumped from a bunch of people bringing value to them. So we're just excited you're here tonight. We got people joining from all over the place. If you're just joining, make sure you drop in the comments where you're coming from. We're just excited you're here, and just passionate about having a chance to be with you evening. We take that time that you put in tonight. We take it, we honor it, we highly value it, and we're excited that at the end of this, we pray that you get a lot of value out of it. And so we're really excited about that. And Ken, are you ready to get rolling, or you want to wait a couple more minutes?
Yeah, man, let's go. Let's roll. It's 5:35. Let's get it. We've got. Go ahead.
Well, guys, hey, so officially, hey, welcome to the Growth Stack Drive Virtual Summit. It's a great Tuesday night. It's a beautiful night. I think it's about 70 for all you calling from somewhere cold. I don't apologize. We roll deep here in the South for all you that are still trapped inside. I was at the pool all weekend. Got a little tan going here. Met a few people. I'm just giving you all a hard time. But hey, we're excited you're here. And one thing I know Ken's very passionate about is believe in circumstance. We believe in actually divine chance. We know you're here for a reason. We know that you walked into this room. Actually, you signed into this room. We wish you could walk into the room. This is one of our dreams, Meek. It was about this time, Ken, right? We would have already had our event behind us.
Last Friday. It was last Friday.
That changed up. But you know what? I've known Ken for a long time, so I've introed him numerous times. But let me intro. For those that don't know Ken, or you've heard about Ken, or you stopped in to check out and see what this is all about, Ken has a heart for people. He has a passion to see people thrive and succeed. But more importantly, he has a passion to see people significant, to actually achieve not just results, but actually achieve the fact that you can do something really special with this life, that you can fulfill your purpose and you can live through your purpose. And so one of the greatest things I can tell you all kinds of accolades about the organizations he built, the mortgage business he built, to the real estate company he runs now. But I've watched Ken the last 7 months go from like gear 4 to like, he's in the season where he's kind of winding down. And he called me, he says, "Nate, I'm ready to wind it up again." And so Ken, and I said, we sat for coffee for 3 hours and we talked strategy about what that would look like. And out of that got birthed the Ken Joslin, group, the Joslin coaching, to the Joslin team. It's just been so fun to see, based on the goals you've set, your 10X mindset, and what's happened and how your business has grown, and I'm just kind of honored, man. I'm still sitting here watching people jump on, man. It's just fun to see, like, something you dreamt up and something you thought of and you see it come to pass. There's nothing like that, guys. So you know what, with that being said, Ken, I know we're a couple minutes behind. We'll catch that up. And I know you wanted me to keep this on point, but I want to make sure we have people who have time to join. Some things to know, guys, as you guys have questions, or if you have things throughout this time from our guests, you can type those questions in the chat. We'll field those questions via the chat. We'll get them and we'll get them teed up for you, because at the end of each one of the guest speaker sessions, we're going to have a little bit of Q&A with them and be able to answer some of those questions. So if you have questions throughout the time, as you think of them, put them in the chat, and we can go from there. So you know what, Ken, I think I'm gonna hand the mic over, bro, and I'm gonna give it to you, guys. Hey, give it up again. Give a little virtual wave to our boy Ken Joslin. Thanks for putting this together, brother.
Hey guys, listen. Number one, I'm honored that you're here. I know Nate said that just a minute ago. We literally several months ago, when we started, one of the brands that I've been fortunate enough to kick off with Nate and my team was the Grow Stack Drive brand, about growing yourself personally, about stacking your day or your team for success, and then driving massive results, which is something that I'm super passionate about, something I believe in at a high level. We had scheduled an event in Atlanta live at the John Maxwell Leadership Institute. It was back supposed to be May the 15th. It was supposed to be last Friday with myself, David Pollack from ESPN's College Game Day, who's a real good friend of mine, as well as several other entrepreneurs, Richie Dolan, who's going to be on here tonight. And then what happened was we didn't have the opportunity to be able to do that. So what we did was we said, Nate, what's a way that we can add value to people right now? What can we do in the midst of COVID-19? How can we add value? And so what we did is we started doing Instagram Lives. And through Instagram Live, I began to connect with thought leaders, entrepreneurs, business people who literally have built businesses in excess of tens of millions of dollars. And so what I wanted to do is I wanted to be able to bring those thought leaders in the room for you guys to be able to hear from. And so tonight, guys, we've got an unbelievable lineup. My good friend Mike Ciorrocco is going to kick us off in just a minute. Carlos Reyes, Anthony Trucks, Richie Dolan, Matt Buchanan, a 22-year-old kid who's going to do in excess of $1 million in revenue in his business this year. And then tonight, we're going to finish it off with none other than Tim Storey, who has been just a voice in our nation for over 20 years. It's going to be a phenomenal night. Listen, I've got my pen, I've got my pad. I am ready to roll. And as Nate said, each communicator is going to have 10 minutes. And then we're going to spend 4 to 5 minutes with each communicator in Q&A. Nate and I are. So what I would love for you to do is I'd love for you during their talk. The whole mindset and idea tonight is about expansion during crisis. Because literally we're coming off a 2-month period in the history of our country, literally in the history of our world, that is unprecedented. We've never been where we have been as a country or as a world. And I ask every one of these guys to donate their time to be able to speak into our Grow Stack Drive audience, our Joslin coaching group audience. Hey, will you come speak into their lives, into their businesses, into what's going on in their life on tonight to be able to help them expand during crisis. So if you would, we're going to spend 5 minutes with each communicator tonight during Q&A. If you've got questions during that, you guys can type that in the chat. Also, feel free to share your Instagram handle. This is a place for you to be able to connect, to build relationships. So without further ado, we're going to get started. My boy, Mike Ciorrocco, C-Rock, as our 10X crowd knows him. Mikey is one of my dear friends. I love this guy's DNA. I love his heart. Mike owns his own coaching company, has hundreds of people that follow him in the 10X community. He has taken his Nations Lending mortgage company and grown it to one of the top mortgage companies in America. Listen, guys, and this is the heart this guy has. He texted me yesterday. I was in my gym working out. He texted me, goes, hey, buddy, here's what I'm going to do. Since you're doing your thing tomorrow, I'm going to cancel my coaching. And I'm going to bring everybody from my Waymo, what are you made of crew? I'm going to bring everybody over into your thing. And I texted back and said, dude, that means a ton that you would trust me and you would trust our brand to be able to bring your people in to be able to teach them. So without further ado, C-Rock, let's roll, baby. You got 10 minutes, my friend.
All righty. What's up, everybody? Thanks for coming tonight, guys. If you have a camera, turn it on for me, please. I like to engage with you. We come on here, and I understand some of you might be sitting at dinner with your family. You may be eating. Kim, I see. I appreciate you guys, but I like to see your beautiful faces. And before I get started, I want to talk about Grow Stack Drive is important to me because I love the name of this. I love the name of Ken's coaching program, but I'm gonna use that tonight. But I'm gonna start from the bottom. And I don't know the meaning that Ken had for these exactly, but I'm going to tell you the meaning they have for me. And in honor of Ken's, the name of this, the GSD, Grow Stack Drive, I'm going to start with D, Drive. And guys, if you have your pens handy and notes, please take notes because this is going to be some good stuff. I promise you, because the reason I know it's good is because it works. We just took our company up 800% year over year, meaning our best month last year of revenue of somewhere in the ballpark of 600,000 in a month went to 1.1 million during COVID. We're talking about coming out of COVID and expanding during crisis. Okay. And this stuff works. I have, it's my magic trick. I'm going to share it with you tonight. And I'm not afraid to share it with other people and outside of our organization, because I want everybody to grow. I have abundance mindset. I want everybody to benefit. I can't keep this stuff to myself. So let's start with D, Drive. To me, my drive started when I was 11 years old. I never knew my parents together. And I came from a broken home, and I went through a lot of mental and emotional abuse in my dad's house for 3 years, from 8 to 11. And I decided that culture, I didn't know the word culture at that time, but I decided that that environment was not conducive to a happy kid that needed to grow. And culture is a very important thing in your company, individually, and in family. And culture has to be good for growth. So I decided to get out of there. I told my mom, please file court papers, get me out of here. And she did. And I came home from school one day and I walked on eggshells in this house that I lived in. My dad told me to go in my room. My dad was my hero, guys. He had a lot of $100 bills in his pocket all the time with a rubber band around him. He had his own masonry business, hence the bricks behind me. And it was successful. And I always looked up to him for that. And when he found out I wanted to move to my mom's, he was very heartbroken, I'm sure. And he pulled this wad of $100 bills out and peeled a $100 bill off and said, listen, if you're going to go live with your mother, you're going to need this when you're living on the streets with her. And he threw this $100 bill at me. And I remember this as clear as day. And I've ridden this and used this and converted this into rocket fuel all my life. And I really never knew that I was doing that until about a couple years ago. I always refer back to it, but I really became aware a couple years ago. So drive for me. And I want everybody to find something in your life that drives you. It could be a setback. It could be a letdown, negativity, haters, people, business, anything, health related things, whatever it is, find your drive, find your fuel. Okay. We talk about a lot of things about going into orbit, getting out of gravity's pull. We talk about this because if you go up into space and as you go up 3,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, whatever, 30,000 feet, you're still in gravity's pull. We want to get into orbit so we don't have to worry about gravity anymore. So that's our vision. That's our aim in our life and our business. Orbit. Think about that. And how to get into orbit? Rocket ship, right? So we got to find fuel for our rocket ship. All right. And that's what we do. We convert setbacks into fuel for our future. And that's what the What Are You Made Of movement is all about. Waymo is short for What Are You Made Of? You'll hear that a lot. So that's drive for me. Find your drive. And 10 minutes is hard for me, guys, just to let you know, because Uncle Ken knows me. I like to talk. We like to talk, but I'm going to fly. If I go too fast, we'll question and answer, and I'll answer any questions you have. All right, let's go to stack. Stack, to me, I thought about, well, your rocket ship needs to be stacked on top of like different things, the rocket boosters and all the other stuff that you got to stack on top of things. So for stack for me is my way more method. Waymo with RE on the end of it, way more method. Okay. And this is my magic. So I'm going to tell you each letter and what it stands for. And again, I get in real deep in my coaching, and I'm not going to pitch my coaching tonight. I'm going to pitch something a little different that has nothing to do with coaching because I respect Ken. But W stands for your what, where, or why. Okay. Everybody's heard of your why, but that W in way more stands for that. You got to figure those things out, and you got to find out what your vision is, and you got to find out where you're headed for your journey. The A stands for axe, like axe or a tool. What tools do you have? So these are the things, by the way, I'll go through in my business and I'll go through individually and with my team. What, where, why? That's our W. Axe or tool. What tools do we have at our disposal? Because a lot of times you have a lot of tools and they're all over the place. And you got to get really clear on what you have available to you to use in your business and life. Okay. The why in Waymo or way more is you. What skills do you have? What strengths do you have? What do you like doing? What don't you like doing? So that why is a very important thing to figure out. The next thing is the M, measure. You got to know how to measure things. You got to know how to measure where you've been, where you're going, your numbers, your stats, your KPIs. You got to be able to measure something because you don't know how good you're doing if you don't. You don't know if you're making progress, you're getting flat, you don't know. So you have to have that measurement. The O is one. And you guys have seen a book probably by Gary Keller, The One Thing, right? What's the one thing that you could do right away to make the biggest impact in your business? What is the one thing that you can focus on with no distractions that would change the course of your business or your life? Okay, so that's the O. Now, wait, that spells Waymo. So we could have stopped there, right? But I couldn't do that because I had a 7-day or 7-week course. So I was like, oh man, I got a 7-week course. Shit, I got to figure something out here. So I put an RE on the end of it. And it just so happens that Carolyn Flower, who may be on the call tonight, said, why don't you call it way more? And I said, that's a good idea. So I'll call it way more. So I added RE. The R stands for review. review is something, or reflect, right? You got to reflect on things. And some people wait till the end of the month or a quarter or a year to reflect and review on things. In my organization and myself, we do it every single day because we don't want to wait until it's too late to get the results that we need. So every day we have a moment of review every single day. And that way we can correct it the next day. We don't wait till the end of the week. That's too late. Okay. Matter of fact, I do it throughout the day, to be honest with you. I don't know if everybody does that, but I'm a little bit crazy. And you got to be crazy to get crazy results. So that's the R. And then the E, very important, as we are Cardone licensees, we believe in training. We believe in training. The E stands for education, or educate. Because I couldn't put a T there because it wouldn't make any sense. It would be way more, something like that. That didn't make any sense. So we used an E. And so educate, train, you have to do it every single day, right? If you don't do it every day, basically you do it one day and you skip a few days, you lose the day that you spent doing it. So every single day you're training, educating yourself, educating your team. Very important. And it's changed my life. And so that's the stack. Okay. The grow is to do things when most people freeze up, like COVID happens and everybody panics and freezes up, right? Do the opposite. When everybody freezes, you move. That's how we grew. And during COVID, in March and April, we did some phenomenal things. We basically increased our business from our high last year in March, 25% from our highest month. And then we blew that away by 100% the following month. So we did X, and then we did X times 100%, or 2 times in the second month. Guys, that's unheard of during a crisis in COVID. And so what we looked at is that, a lot of people were talking about essential work and non-essential. And we were able to work actually in the mortgage business, thank God. So they consider us essential. But even if they didn't consider us essential, I told my team, listen, we're going to be essential. We're going to have the mind shift that we're going to make things happen during this. This is going to be the reason why things happen for us, not the reason why most people say they didn't make things happen. They didn't grow. They had to get laid off. They couldn't pay their mortgage payment. None of us are going to be filing for forbearance, guys. Let's get that out of our head right now. I don't care if you need it or not. We ain't going for that route. We're going to stack, right? As Kay said, we're going to grow. And so that's the message for me tonight to you is when other people are doing one thing, you do the opposite. And majority of the time, it's not all the time, but the majority of the time, you're going to be growing. And, during this time, for example, we hired people. Other people are laying people off. We hired people. I'm still trying to hire people. Okay. And if at the end of the day, if it doesn't work, then guess what? I gave it my all, man. I fired that rocket and it just didn't have enough fuel. And then what do? I go back and find more fuel. So I don't know how I'm doing on time because I didn't even know what time I started, Ken. So holler when I need to stop. But guys, the last thing I'll finish with is preparation. Prior to this event, I went through the 2008 crash in real estate. And during that time, this is very important, guys, as we're going through this right now. I don't know how many of you are doing this, but to be observant of what is going on and journal and write down and learn from the event of what's going on, how people are reacting, what's happening around you, what's going on in the news. You don't need to watch the news and get absorbed with it, but pay attention to what's going on because you'll start to see patterns of how the news tries to scare you. You'll start to see patterns of how politicians act and work so that the next time, 10, 12 years from now that goes on, you'll remember, oh, I'm not paying attention to that garbage. I remember what they did last time. Watch the people around you, how they react. Watch your family, watch your coworkers, watch your customers, and journal and document everything that's going on. And if you do that, which I did in 2008, when this thing happened, I didn't have an ounce of scare in me. No fear, no. I went right at it head on and told my team what we're going to do. Directed them like we were a army, in the army on a mission, and we were going to make things happen. And guess what, guys? It happened. And we, like I said, we broke $1 million in revenue for the first time ever in April during COVID. And I don't tell you that to brag. I just tell you that the way more method works, the mindset thing works, and doing the opposite of what most people are doing works. So before I get into Q&A, my thing that I'm going to tell you about tonight, I'm starting something special. Books. I got books stacked up all around here. If you don't read, you've heard this before. I'm a football player. I played college football. I'm a jock. I lift weights. I work out, but I read, guys. And reading's been so important to me that Carolyn Flower and I are putting together an executive exclusive book club called Power of the People. And we're going to be doing this. It's going to be a small fee. We're going to meet once a week and we're going to read books and we're going to study books and we're going to advance each other. And this is open to anybody that wants to join it. And if you go to waymocrew.com/blueprint and register there, you'll get my free copy of the blueprint to find out what you're made of. And you'll also get the notification of when we start the book club for you to be able to sign up. And there's an early bird special for it. It's really, really, really affordable because we want people in, but we want people to buy in just so that they're committed. And we're going to start off, I believe we're going to start off with Think and Grow Rich. And we're going to study the heck out of that book. And
good book, C-Rock. That's a good book, baby.
Oh, that's all I got for you guys tonight. I hope that was on time there.
No, C-Rock, it was way on time, man. What I love about what you do is you're able to bring not only some intellect and process but you're a practitioner. You know, what I love about thought leaders, there's all kinds of people that are out there that want to talk about what they've done and they're not talking about what they're doing. And what I love about what you talk about is what you're doing currently to combat what's going on. But there's something I got a question. And if you got a question, guys, maybe be sure to type in here. Two things I got is I was like, you're talking about gravity's pull. And I really resonate with that because in our current worlds today, in the world, all of us, there's this gravity pulling us. And like, the question is, where is it taking us to? What are some of the things you do daily to get out of gravity's pull, C-Rock?
So I think, I'm a little bit obsessive. So I get a routine in that I know is successful and I stick to it. And if I miss anything, I feel like inside, I feel it in my mind, my heart, and I take pride in that. So to avoid gravity's pull, I do what I'm supposed to be doing, bottom line. And I try to, like, for example, if I have a decision to make, the answer to the decision is to do the right thing that's going to go against gravity's pull. It's simple as that. I don't try to overcomplicate things. I keep it very simple. And every decision I make is to either go towards my goal or away from it. A lot of people you hear build or tear down. My thing is that I want to accomplish a goal so bad that I remove all obstacles. And an obstacle, guys, it could be people or anything, but very, very big obstacle for a lot of people is decisions we make.
Yeah. Hey, C-Rock too, there's a question here. What is your favorite book for growth? Like if you had to, like, that's a big, I know, man, I'm a reader too, bro. You know me, dude. I do books my whole career. Like you had to choose one. I know it's on the spot, bro. I mean,
book for growth? I hate to sound cliche and amongst a lot of 10Xers, but I mean, obviously the 10X rule is one of my favorites, but Beyond Positive Thinking really has changed me. And that came from Brandon Dawson, recommended by Brandon Dawson. Beyond Positive Thinking is a book that's just blown me away. And beyond it, you know, the 10X rule obviously is something I'll read over and over again and study, but that Beyond Positive Thinking, man, that's powerful. It's a purple book. Dr. Robert Anthony. Who wrote it? Dr. Robert Anthony.
Okay. Dr. Robert Anthony. And I think Stacey, you're writing some of this down. Hey, C-Rock too, also you talked about something that I think is very important. I think a lot of times we forget self-awareness. You know, we're always looking out there for inspiration instead of looking inside for inspiration. And by the way, we need both, right? We need to look out there. People like C-Rock and Kim, we need to find inspiration. But a lot of times we got to look internal first. And you said this thing that every day you take a moment of review and your team. Could you kind of maybe some practical tips? So like, is there certain questions you ask? Are there certain things you do in that moment when you have that moment of review? What does that look like? Do you have a punch list to go down, or is there certain questions they ask? Or
this goes for individuals and it can be for a group. We have what's called an activity journal or email that we send out to the team every single day. So every single day, you know what you accomplished that day, because if you don't, it's all up in your head and all jumbled up. And you may think you had a bad day. You might've had one instance that caused you to be in a bad mood. And you think, oh man, that was a miserable day. But when you do your activity journal in email, you can reflect on that and see where you actually fell short, overachieved, where you actually rank in what you were supposed to do. And then we send it to the group. Everybody sends their activity journals, whether, you know, I have some of my team on here, and whether Justin benefits from Barbie, you know, her selling, it doesn't matter. It's the fact that they feed off each other's activity, and they also can engage with each other. If somebody's fallen off of the wagon a little bit, they can ask them, hey man, you need any help? You know, I noticed you didn't send your activity email to the team. We really have a accountability factor. And so that activity journal email that goes to the whole team is our reflect and correct.
C-Rock, and you nailed that. Here, think about that, guys. So just take that in for 1 second. Self-awareness by itself is just, it's like hope. Hope is not a strategy, but self-awareness paired with accountability will create the right action. And that's something that what I really love about you said. You didn't just pair like, hey, tell me. You actually share that amongst the group. People have to share their activities, so they have to be accountable to what they're being aware of, guys. That is C-Rock. That is powerful, bro. Just the reality of giving people the opportunity to be aware, but then actually holding them accountable to what they're aware of. Man, that's the only way change really happens. And I mean, it's a very powerful method of thinking, guys. So just I think that's. Ken, I know. Sorry, I grabbed the mic. I know you're
No,
busy.
you're good. Hey, Mikey, the one thing that I love that I'd love for us to take, just probably the last questions, we're a couple minutes over. The one thing that I'd love for you to talk about, you talked about measurables. And so any client that I coach one-on-one, measurables are huge. When you talked about knowing your numbers month over month, you were able to just roll those numbers. Speak to the importance of every business owner and entrepreneur in here tonight to be able to know your updated numbers and exactly what maybe are the top 2 or 3 numbers that you're looking for.
Well, first of all, I'm a little bit of have a paranoia in me. I always feel like I have a false sense of security for where we are. Like, we had a great month and I feel like still stressed, man. I'm like, oh man, most of that's refis. And I'm like, we need to bump up our purchase business. Today, I was sending out an email to my leadership team saying, guys, do you know the percentage of refinance to purchases that we had? That's unacceptable. We just cleared $1 million of revenue. And here I'm complaining about the fact of the type of business we have. I mean, so to me, I need to know that, because if the rates go up, for example, and refi businesses drops and we haven't been focusing on our purchase business like we should be, that's a problem. We're going to get caught with our pants down, and we can't have that. So we have to look at, okay, so percentage of what type of business is coming in. The start of our sales cycle is a credit pool or phone call to get a credit pool. All right. So whatever your start of your sales cycle is, probably most of the time it's contacts or prospecting calls or what have you. You have to count those and measure those. And then as you go through, you'll know how many calls you have to make to have a sale. And then that clarity gives you like when you wake up in the morning, okay, all I got to do is make X amount of calls and I know I'm going to hit my number. And if I want to double my number, like let's say I want to make twice the amount of money. Well, you don't have to think very hard. You just double your output.
And guys, one of the things that C-Rock talked about that I think is important, it's so funny. I know Solana Whitehead and her husband are on this. Solana and her husband do the Flezzle tubes. They're the giant inflatable inner tubes. They're puzzle locking for flotillas. Just in the last few weeks, dude, they've gotten orders from Camping World and all these big box stores. They're blowing up. But one of the things she texted me, and I'm in a small group text with her the other day, and Mikey, this I think goes to what you said just a minute ago, is she goes, I've got this going on and this going on, this going on. I'm just not satisfied. And guys, let me say this to you real quick. This is a bonus. The strength of every entrepreneur and every business man and woman is that we are never satisfied. The weakness, the flip side of that coin for every entrepreneur is we are never satisfied. So you have to learn the tension of when can I and how can I find joy in the process. And so what Mikey said, I was listening for Mikey to say something that specifically had to do with not just finding joy in the process, but he said, listen, if our refis are this much and we're just all in the refi boom right now because rates are 2 3/4, spoken like a former mortgage broker as well. And we're not focusing on new purchase business, then what happens is when the rates begin to rise, your refinance begins to drop, and now you're left with something we haven't worked on. So it wasn't necessarily that he was just focused on, well, this isn't good enough, this isn't good enough. He's seeing in the future, hey guys, if these rates go up, we're going to be in trouble. We've got to spend some time focusing on this. So Mikey, man, dude, 1,000%. Thank you so much for being here tonight, man. Enjoy. Love you, man. Enjoy. What a great word, guys. Hey, can we put our hands together and let Mikey know how much we appreciate him tonight, guys? What a guy. Listen, I want to jump in. Yeah, go ahead, buddy.
No, guys, one thing you said too is really powerful. Is like, you talked about measurement, but guys, if whatever you're leading something. If you can't measure it, you can't manage it. If you cannot measure it, you cannot manage it. Because when you don't measure something as a leader, what you end up doing is dumping on people. You dump on them tasks. But great leaders, good leaders delegate. Horrible leaders dump things on people. Like it's you got to do this. And it's because they don't have measurements in place. So they just dump it on them. And then good leaders, they delegate. But what great leaders do is they develop. So when you develop people and you use metrics as a template for that, what ends up happening is you give opportunity for people to thrive. inside of an environment that has metrics tied to it. So C-Rock, man, Rick, and I don't have a hat on, bro, but you know me, I'll give you a hat off all day long, brother. Great job, man. So
Thank
glad
you.
you were here, man. Awesome
Hey, thank you very much for having me. I appreciate and love all of you guys.
Love you, buddy. Hey guys, listen, I want to go ahead and jump in. I want to share 3 key words. I'm going to take my 10 minutes real quick. We're going to be rolling quick. I want to share with you 3 key words. These are 3 of the 5 core values that I have for all of my businesses, as well as for my own personal life. But these 3 are 3 things that I talk to every individual and people that are in our group coaching or one-on-one clients that I have today. This is going to sound very familiar, but 3 words that I think are the most important 3 words that we live with every day. And the first word is passion. The second word is focus. And the third word is intentionality. Do I live my day with passion? So Ken, what is passion? Like, you're a passionate person. Like you have a personality, you're passionate. Well, listen, let me say this to you first. Passion is not your personality. Passion is just an expression in how you go after what you're trying to achieve. What are your goals? You hear me say this a lot. You may see this on my Instagram page. If you need an alarm clock to get out of bed, your goals aren't big enough. When I wake up in the morning, is there something driving me? So passion, and here's the question I want you to ask yourself tonight. How do I attack the day? Like, when I'm passionate, I get up in the morning, dude, I am locked in and focused on what I'm doing tomorrow. Mikey, one of the things Mikey said just a minute ago, and just to piggyback on what he said was, he said, I'm always reviewing. The one thing I'm going to do at the end of the day today is I'm going to take my 10X planner. It's going to be sitting on my island. I'm going to go ahead and fill in my schedule for tomorrow on all my one-on-ones that I have, all my appointments that are in my calendar. I'm going to review. I'm going to know what tomorrow is going to look like. So when I wake up, I can do it with passion. I literally can attack the day. And listen, passion isn't personality. Passion is energy. And I want to ask you guys something real quick. People go, Ken, how in the world have you seen your business grow 819%? How are you getting some of the guys on this call? How are you interviewing some of the guys? How do you get C-Rock on your call? How do you get Grant to invite you to 10X headquarters to speak to the licensees? How do you have Anthony Trucks and Tim? How are you? Listen, energy. Are you passionate? Do you believe in what you're called to do? Do you believe in your product? Do you believe in your business? Do you believe in your vision? Listen, let me say this. Passion is always tied to purpose. Passion is always tied to purpose. Listen, when you are connected and walking in your purpose, I'm going to tell you what, not only will you live in a high level of passion, but you'll also live in a high level of fulfillment. The second thing is focus. How do I spend each minute of every day? I'm talking about literally when you watch the Kentucky Derby, when they have it, or any horse race. Mikey lives up there in Maryland and New Jersey, in that area where they've got horse tracks everywhere. Those horses, they put them in, they've got blinders on. They can't see anything on either side. They are literally locked into what's in front of them. I've got 4 colors on my calendar. Quickly, I've got blue. That's my personal time. I get up, I do a scripture every morning on YouVersion. I do a little worship. I've got some music I play. I get in and I do my personal development. Right now, I'm reading 3 Feet from Gold from Greg Reed. Right behind it, it is Think and Grow Rich, the book Mikey was talking about just a minute ago. It's my next book in the line. I get on, I do some Cardone U. I'm building myself. The next thing I do is I walk downstairs in my basement, or I hit Planet Fitness, and I'm working out. I'm ready to roll. It's my personal. So that's the blue. Green on my calendar. You need green blocks on your calendar. Green's where I make money. Now, if I'm not making money, everything I'm doing really it doesn't amount to a lot. If I'm not, I've got to have green blocks on my calendar. The third block I've got to have is I have yellow blocks on my calendar. Yellow is where I work on my business, not in my business. It's where I spend time having conversations with future clients. It's where I do tonight. This call is a yellow block on my calendar. It's Julie Austin said I like green blocks. Listen, it's a yellow block on my calendar because this is what we're doing. We're building a brand. We're adding value to people. We're saying, hey, listen, we care enough about you and what you're doing. This is what I love about Mikey. It's what I love about Carlos and Anthony and Matt and every speaker we've got coming in here tonight. They authentically care about you and your business and your development. So I've got blue, I've got green, I've got yellow, and I've got red. Red's my family time. Ken, what'd you do this afternoon? I took an hour and a half. I took my daughter down to Taco Mama in Birmingham, one local restaurant. We sat outside on the patio. We ate tacos this afternoon. I went by and got her an ice cream when we got done. That's a red block on my calendar. Make sure you are putting red blocks on your calendar. Focus. And here's the thing I would say to you real quick. Think incremental, not monumental. Think incremental, not monumental. Don't just assume that because you've got this big vision. I talked to Greg Reed, the author from 3 Feet from Gold, and we talked about the 20-year overnight success. Mikey said it. Every guest you're going to hear, every great entrepreneur, there is no such thing as overnight success. I didn't do $8 million in real estate last year as an overnight success. I've been adding value to clients for 20 years. That's how I did 8 million with zero spent on advertising last year, not one single penny. So think incremental, not monumental, because if you think incremental long enough and you're disciplined in and you're focused on every block of time, incremental eventually will turn into monumental. The third thing is intentionality. How do I speak and what do I say? Am I willing? Mikey said it again just a minute ago. Am I willing to, and one of the other 2 core values for me are teachability and flexibility. Am I teachable? Guys, listen, if you're not teachable, I don't want to be around you. If you're not teachable, you've got to have a teachable heart. Listen, I don't know everything. Mikey doesn't know. Even Tim, who's coming on, who literally is the coach to the stars for Oprah. And I mean, you name any Hollywood elite, Tim coaches these guys one-on-one. He's their personal life coach. But let me tell you something. You and I have to be coachable. Are we willing to speak into the issues? Let me say this. Regardless of what floor your business you're on. You may be starting your business. You may be on the first floor, or you may be on the second floor, or you may be where Mikey is. Mikey said he's grown his business to over $1 million a month now. They've grown at several 100% year over year in the midst of the worst pandemic our world has ever seen. But regardless of what floor Mikey is on right now, there's a ceiling on that floor. Every floor comes with its own ceiling. So every time we grow and level up, then what we have to do is, when we grow and level up, what we have to do is we've got to identify that ceiling. Like, what does the ceiling look like at the level that we are currently at? What does that level look like? So the 3 things again: passion, focus, intentionality. Every new floor comes with its own ceiling. What I want you to do tonight, or today, as we're taking notes, I want you to identify what's the ceiling on the floor that I'm currently in. And I don't care, guys, listen, I don't care if you're on the 3rd floor in your business. I don't care if you're like Mikey, and dude, you're on the 40th floor already. You're looking out and everything looks good and it's fantastic. Even the 40th floor, and Mikey will nod his head in agreement with me right now, even the floor he's on right now, it has a ceiling. It has a ceiling. Now listen, the temptation, when we think incrementally and not monumentally, the temptation for us is to take the elevator. But when we take the stairs, what happens, guys? When we take the stairs, it causes us to use muscles. Every time we get on that floor and we're trying to level up and go to the next level, listen, sometimes we're going to take the stairs. Sometimes the elevator doors are going to open and we're going to skip 3 or 4 floors because we've learned what we needed to learn to move from the level that our business, or the floor that our business is in, to be able to take it to another floor. I say this to our team all the time, and I'm ready for some Q&A. I say this to our team all the time, guys. It's super important. When you act as a business owner, or your business acts like it needs to be at the next level, and you're doing the things that businesses at the next level do, your business will be at the next level. What questions we got? I know Antonio said, Ken, how does Ken help with developing culture? Culture's huge. These 5 core values, passion, focus, intentionality, teachability, and flexibility. This is what we onboard people through. Like, those 5 things, you have to live those 5 things out. If this is what we promote people in our businesses for, this is what we transition people off of our team and fire them for. If you can't live out these 5 core values, You cannot be a part of our team. And every individual conversation, when we reward somebody, it's filtered through a conversation, through a core value. When we demote somebody or have to say, hey, there's an issue, Mikey, man, listen, we're talking about being flexible. We had a meeting schedule. We had to move that because of a closing, and you do brilliant and show up. One of our core values is flexibility, and I expect for you to be flexible. And I'll have that conversation one more time with Mikey on flexibility. And then in that second conversation, Mikey, dude, I appreciate you. You do this really, really well. You do this, always sandwich it. You do this really well. But hey, flexibility it has not been very strong. And if we can't get flexible, the next time we have this conversation, I'm gonna have to put you off the team. You're gonna have to find another place to go. Go ahead, Nick.
Aiden has a question here. How do you predict the ceiling for your current level and then the next floor? What are the steps to figuring that out?
Super easy. Get around people in your field or your business that are 2 or 3 floors ahead of you. Relationship is key. It is. I just had this conversation with a potential client an hour before we got on the call. Find people who are doing what you're doing, who are 3 or 4 steps ahead, and call them. Hey, Mikey, Ciorrocco, if you're in the mortgage business, Mikey, if I come out to Maryland and can I spend a couple hours with you? If it costs me $1,000, whatever I got to do, I want to come out and learn from you. What do you? Saturday, I'm flying to California. I'm having breakfast with Greg Reed at his house. I get around people who are 3 or 4 steps ahead of where you are and find out how they broke through and got to the next level.
Yeah. Ken, one of the things I love about, you talk about passion, focus, intentionality, the top 3. I think a lot of people are trying to discover, that's the crux of trying to figure out what your passion is. And we sit there and rack our brains on passion. But one thing Ken has taught me over the years is if you want to find your passion first, you first have to figure out intention.
Yeah.
If you want to figure out your passion, be intentional for an extended period of time. Because when you have that, your intention will fuel your passion. And then your passion will drive your focus.
Yes, most definitely.
If you want to figure out your passion, first figure out intention, because what's going to happen, your intention will fuel your passion. And then what your passion will do is drive your focus. And, one of the things, Ken, I know it's the same question that I know Travis has here about resources for book about being teachability and coachability. I'm going to pair this question, Travis, because I think you did a great job. But can you tell some practical ways for everybody on this call, like what it means to have a teachable spirit? What does that look like to have a teachable spirit? What are some practical things that people can employ when they're in an environment with people they can learn from? What does it look like to be teachable?
Number 1, great leaders ask great questions. Learn to ask great questions. And when you get around great leaders, guys, don't be in a hurry to talk. Don't be in a hurry to talk. And I'm a talker. I love to talk. I had to teach myself 20 years ago that when I got around great leaders, and I have been fortunate to be around the top leaders in any industry or nonprofit that I've ever been in. I've been fortunate to be around the top leaders in the world. And what I had to learn, because I love to talk, I love to have relationship, I love to hang out. I tell people all the time, my spiritual gifts are just like Jesus. I like to eat and I like to hang out. I had to learn to listen. When you get in that environment, be quiet and be a sponge. Ask great questions, but be able to listen and be a sponge in front of those guys. Is that good, Nate?
No, I think it's solid. I think teachability, when you pair teachability with, not with passion, but with drive, right? You have passion and drive are similar, but I think what great people, if you want to learn how to have a teachable spirit, you first have to learn how to shut up. You all cool if I just say it boldly? If you want to be teachable, just write it in your book that, Travis, here's your answer. If you want to learn how to teach the next generation to be teachable, teach them how to shut up.
Yeah, that's good.
Literally, teach them how to be still. Teach them how to get neutral. Teach them how to get their emotions in check. And then teach them actually to look at the circumstances around them. And then teach them to actually take a moment before they speak. I tell it to my kids all the time. By the way, when I ask you a question or I give you I don't need a snap response. What I need is a 5-second pause for you to process what you just received. And then I need you actually to come back to me, not with an answer, but a question to ensure that you have clarity in what I've asked you.
Yep. Awesome.
Great people when it comes to being teachable is just getting great clarity. So Ken, man, just hats off, bro. I think we got Carlos in the room, bro. So I know Carlos.
We're running
Richie, you're already in docket. Just to let you know, you're coming up next. If Carlos is here, man, I know I'm gonna toss it to you now, Ken. Ken, great job, man.
Yeah, thank you, man. Appreciate you guys. Guys, listen, I've got a friend of mine that I had on Instagram Live. Carlos is a big time influencer in the world of real estate. I met this guy, dude. Every time he hops on Instagram Live, I'm on. I do this guy right here. As soon as we got off the call on the Instagram Live, dude, we swap phone numbers. And this guy right here I tell him he's my brother from another mother. Dude, I love his heart. I love it. Here's what I love about this guy. He's successful. Carlos, I want you to tell a little bit about your business. He's super successful, but guys, let me tell you what he does. And I see this over and over in his life. And Carlos, this is why I love you. This is why I wanted you to be a part of tonight, is the way that you have a heart to help other people who have been where you have been. Bro, take it away, my friend. Tell everybody about what you got.
Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we got you. Yep.
Okay, brother. So the first thing that I want to say is, thank you, brother, for putting me on here and just giving me the opportunity to try to impact lives, because you know what, whether we want to admit this or not, brother, 80% plus of society, of the world, we're hurting. We're hurting. How are we hurting? We have a job that we hate. We are in a relationship that we can't get out of. We haven't used our potential. We haven't maximized on our potential, right? We're hurting in some way, shape, or form. We're not living the abundant life that, God wants for us. We're not living the abundant life that we want for ourselves. And we're hurting and we're not doing nothing about it. We're dabbling, right? We're dabbling. And I just want to tell everybody a quick story. I'll summarize it with, first and foremost, guys, I'm in beautiful Sedona right now. It's a Tuesday. It's only about, I don't even know what time it is here. I honestly don't know. I don't know what day it is today, and I don't know the time. That should tell you something about how my life is now, but it wasn't always like this. I'm in beautiful Sedona right now where my businesses are operating literally on autopilot, okay? I can tell you a brief story. I was born in Mexico, okay? My mother brought us to this country literally illegally twice. The first time through TJ, through a sewer system. We got caught. Then we tried again and finally broke through. Went to a small town called Escondido, California. Okay, lasted 2 years. You know how difficult it is for a single mother to survive in California? It's very expensive there, especially when you're working in the fields. She was working in the fields. That's how she got her paperwork, her immigration paperwork was through Amnesty, right? So let me say this. We failed in a matter of literally 2 years, too expensive, single mom, didn't speak English, worked the fields, back to Mexico. Then, guess what I started? By the way, my first entrepreneur job was literally door-to-door bread sales in Mexico. My second job came right after we went back. I became a bag boy. I was bagging groceries in Mexico. I was bagging groceries. My mother worked at the resorts at a small town called San Carlos Bay. She worked cleaning rooms, and we were both trying to gather enough money to try to make our second attempt at the American dream, because we knew that there wasn't anything for us in Mexico but poverty. Guys, you guys have to understand, where I live, the roads were made out of dirt. We literally took baths out of a bucket. We had a freaking what do you call this? The outhouses, the back houses where you go to the restroom in the back. We hung our clothes. In like these, these hangers, like these wires in the backyard. We had a washing board to wash our clothes. That was my life. And my mom wanted more for me and for my brother. Okay, so I'm saying I'm a bag boy. I'm bagging groceries and I'm making tips. And she's working the resorts, cleaning the hotel rooms. We put enough money together to get her on a bus back to Phoenix, Arizona. And then she works her ass off in the fields, 120-degree weather now. Now it's not as cool as it is in California. Now she's in 120-degree weather, just thinking about her sons. I need to get them over here, to give them a shot, because I know that there's nothing in Mexico. So she finally puts enough money together. gets me over here first. I snuck through a fence in Nogales, Sonora. She paid a coyote $25. She made a $25 investment in me or with someone. I jump through this fence. We meet at McDonald's. She contrabands me here to Phoenix, Arizona. I'm in Sedona now. I'm only about 2 hours away from Phoenix, enjoying, Sedona is a vortex. So I'm here to do some internal work. I'm here to do some sound healing. I'm here to do some meditation. I'm here to work with my self-mastery coach, Jeremy Wilson. So I'm here to do a lot of internal work, right? But I'm telling you, Phoenix, Arizona, boom, we get here. And she has to work like an Asian person. And no disrespect, Asians are some of the hardest working people ever, right? She has to work 3 jobs for us to even survive, for us to even make ends meet as a single mother, right? She's working at the airport at night. She's working for a school in the cafeteria in the morning, and she has a part-time job during the day. This lasted, I would say, maybe 8 to 10 years, until we became young men and we can fend for ourselves. But I'll tell you what, her efforts are extremely valued and honored. I retired her in 2017. She doesn't even pay for her phone bill. She has everything that she's ever going to need for the rest of her life. Glory to God for that, right? She has her car, she has her house, she has her insurance, she has everything. She doesn't pay one bill because of her efforts, right? My story is this. It took me 15 years to become a citizen of this country. My paperwork started in 1997, and then I first got a work permit, and then I got a residence, it's called a green card, a permanent residence card, and then I became a citizen. I did it the right way. It was a long process. I paid a lot of money, right? Between her and I, however we could scrape it up, but we did it. And I worked in corporate America for 12 plus years. I climbed my way all the way to the top, hit the ceiling, and I thought I had security. I want to ask this question. How many of you still have a 9-to-5 job? How many of you still have a 9 to, don't be ashamed, by the way. I was there for over a decade. How many of you still have a 9-to-5 job? Yes. Alex Y says yes.
Yeah, if you've got a 9-to-5, type it in the chat section real quick.
Renato says yes, right? Bruce says yes. Shanika says yes. Jason Rivera says yes. There's so many yeses.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what, guys? I'll be honest with you. A lot of my ambition has been driven from pain, right? Unfortunately, my ambition and my commitment has been driven from pain. And guess what? I don't want your ambition to be driven from pain. But the fact of the matter is that nothing changes if nothing changes. How many of you want financial freedom? How many of you want to live life on your terms? How many of you don't want to worry about, I don't even know what my bills are. I think my monthly expenses as far as just bills alone, between cars and the estate that my family lives in, we're probably between 12 to 15 grand a month. I remember I used to make at one point $2,000 a month, and then 3 grand a month and 4 grand a month and 5 grand. At one point, the highest I ever made in a corporate structure was $70,000. Guys, I don't remember since July of 2016, which was our first six-figure month in real estate, flipping houses. By the way, we started with almost no money down. I started with bandit signs, okay? So let me just say this. Since July of 2016, that was our first 6-figure month. And I don't remember, in corporate America, I used to make $70,000 a year, right? With bonuses and overtime and salary, right? I used to have to work my ass off 70 plus hours a week just to get overtime, because overtime was paid time and a half. And I did that. Guys, in 12 years, I cashed in every single vacation that was given to me. After my first year, I had 1 week. After my third year, I had 2 weeks. After 5 years, I had 3 weeks. And after 7 years, I had 4 weeks, and I cashed them all in. You guys want to know why I cashed them all in, guys? Just to try to get ahead. I couldn't even take vacations with my family. That's not freedom. That's survival. That's not the way we're supposed to live life, guys. But you know what the sad part is, by the way? And many of you are wondering, so what happened? Like, how, Carlos? How did you leave your over a decade corporate job, your comfy job with the 401k and an IRA, right? And insurance that the company for the most part paid for most of it. What did it take for you to leave? Guess what? More pain. I trained 4 years for a position. The guy, I was already next in line. The guy screwed me over with his best friend that wasn't even interviewing for the position. More pain, right? So a lot of it's sad to say, but human beings, we need enough pain to change our ways, right? Nothing changes if nothing changes. And what I want to say to everybody who has a 9-to-5 job out there is the following: until the pain is great, until you're willing to admit that your pain is great enough and it forces you to change, you will not change until the pain is greater, until the pain is greater than your commitment to change. Because we all know how painful it is to change. We all know how painful it is to commit. We all know how painful it is to make sacrifices. That's right, sacrifices with our family, sacrificing our hobbies, sacrificing television, sacrificing the way that we live life and our programming for whatever, for as long as we've been alive, sacrificing our friends, sacrificing the opinions of others, right? None of us are willing to make the sacrifices. You have to make a decision at some point.
Carlos, let me ask you a question real quick. What was the tipping point for you? Like when you're walking through all this and you're in corporate America, and guys, think about it from this perspective. Corporate America for Carlos making 70 grand was a win from where he came in at. Bro, you came in bagging groceries.
Brother, I absolutely.
That's a win.
You know what's crazy, guys, and I say this all the time, right? Corporate America it's a modern day cage. And let me just say this. I was very comfortable in my cage. Why? They fed me well. I had insurance. I had security, right? I had a house, a mortgage. I had a car or cars. I had everything that you need, everything that you need. But again, guys, it was just survival. I wanted more for my life. Right. I wanted more for myself. I wanted more for my family, and I wanted to serve people.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. Was it a family thing for you, Carlos? Did you kind of look at that and just go, you know what? I want my mom to be taken care of. I saw you a couple weeks ago on Instagram talking about your home and some of the things you were able to give your wife and your mom. What was the catalyst for you to be able to go, you know what? Because what happens is people feel trapped and they're afraid to take that step.
Well, listen, I wanted more for I wanted more for me. I wanted more for my family. I deserved more. They deserved more. I worked too hard to continue to make millions of dollars for somebody else while I was only making $70,000 a year. I'm bringing the owner of that company, $250,000 to $300K every month, which is, $1 million or whatever every single year. And you're paying me $70,000. And I have to actually work overtime and get bonuses and blah, blah, blah. Right.
Grand. Hey, let me ask you this question real quick, Carlos. We got a couple minutes before we bring our next guy on. Let me ask you this question. Like, so you stepped out of the security. Like you did not know security.
That was painful.
Tried to smuggle your way into the United States, 12 years, 15 years to become a citizen. You finally arrive, you're in corporate America, but yet there's something inside of you. So when you made that step to be able to go, you know what, I want to do something different with my life. Give our audience right here, what was one or two hurdles that you had to go over to go from where you were? And I know you mentioned $1 million a month 3 or 4 years ago, the first month you guys did over $1 million. What were a couple hurdles you had to overcome in getting, not just from corporate America, but you're out of corporate America, you've started your own business. What are some of the biggest hurdles you faced getting to where you are today?
I think the first thing that I needed to overcome was fear. Believe it or not, guys, and you know what's crazy, Ken? Everybody in this webinar They're here for a reason. They want
Yeah.
more out of life. They want more out of life. They're tired. They're sick and tired of living living the way that they're living. And I'm not judging anybody because I've been there. When I mean
Yeah.
that, if anybody who here, I'm a father. I have a 7-year-old and I have a 1.5-year-old. You know what another painful thing was, right? Yes, fear was one of them, but brother, I cried from the frustration of not being successful. It hurt so much to not be successful. Why? Because I didn't want to be where my daughter turned 16 years old in high school and says, Daddy, can I have a car to get to high school? I did not want to say, no, MJ, I'm sorry, we can't afford it. I didn't want to say that.
You heard somebody. I want to ask you this question. I heard this earlier. One of the guys asked me this question earlier. When I was talking about the floors, about going from one floor to the next floor in your business and identifying the ceilings. How important has it been for you to have mentors and people that were 3 or 4 steps ahead of you in business?
I'm with a mentor right now. Guys, I came up here. Listen, I want to first and foremost thank the Lord because he's given. I will say this, guys. The beautiful part is wherever you are in life, I didn't know this. I thought that I was just absolute miserable going through my job. But guess what I was learning? I was learning business. I was learning management. I was learning development. I was learning scheduling. It was my school. I started working at such a young age. Guys, I didn't know that I was there for a reason. These things were happening for me, not to me. When I left that job, I knew for a fact that I can build my own company because of everything that I learned at that corporation. Right?
Guys, listen, this is the one thing. Hang on one second, Carl. This is the one thing I love about Carl. Did you hear what he just said? He said, these things were happening for me, not to me. And you heard his story. Dude, every time I hear you share your story, I feel the anguish. I can feel the pain in your story. And I mean, it's easy when people look at you now and you've got 500,000 followers on Instagram. You guys are making millions of dollars a month. Your business is growing. You're one of the top real estate guys in the country. People are looking at you. But dude, when I hear your story every time, I'm like, bro, like that's
because
pain.
You know what, brother? First and foremost, I love people and I don't want them to have to endure what I had to endure. They don't have to. They don't have to, right? They're here for a reason. They're here for a purpose. People just don't randomly say, you know what? I'm going to sign up to this thing and see what happens. No, they sign up to these things because they want more and they know that they deserve more and they want more for their families and they want to be able to live the one life that they have. I don't care if you're 70 years old in this chat. Okay. There's a Cuban lady that broke the swimming record. She broke from Cuba to Florida and she was like 60 something years old. Look it up. Look it up. Her name is Dana something. You're never too young and you're never too old to start. Trust God's timing and trust your timing. But you have to make a decision. All right. And let me just close it out with this because I know we're running out of time. Okay. And yes, I believe in mentorship. I'm here with a mentor right now. I have a billionaire mentor. His name is Ed Cobell. He's the CEO of DeBartolo Development. I have a spiritual mentor. His name is Christian Ferris.
4931.
I have a spiritual mentor. His name is Christian Ferris. He runs a church in Tampa. And I have my own pastor at Vineyard Church in Phoenix, Arizona. And I have a self-mastery. I have mentors. And I learned so much from them. And I'm never, God willing, I'm never going to stop having mentors. But I just want to say this, guys. The success formula that I've developed, the success formula that I've really taken into account, it doesn't change for any entrepreneur, guys. Ready? Literally make a decision on what you want out of life. My decision was I want to be successful. It's painful, it's too painful not to be. And then you have to commit. You have to commit to that decision. Okay? And then you have to make sacrifices. Because you're going to get hit with everything, right?
I love it, man.
And then you have to persevere, which means you never quit. You only fail when you quit, guys. If you don't quit, I don't care if you're not successful, you're not a failure. Guess what? Because you only fail when you quit. That's it.
I love it, man.
If you don't quit, you're going to win.
Hey,
Nate's got a question for you.
Hey,
real
Carlos,
quick,
my name's Nate, man. I'm one of Ken's best friends. I'm the MC of the Ghost Track Jive, serve on his team. One of the things you
Hey,
said
Nate,
that I
how you
think
doing?
resonates with everybody on here, and I'm reading the comments like you are, Carlos, right? And it's like you said this
I'm
term that
trying to keep up. I'm
no,
trying to
I'm
keep
just saying,
up.
no, I know. One of the things that's been expressed a lot is people are experiencing pain. You said it. 80% of people are going through some type of pain. So early on, when you're making your transition and making decisions, what in the morning when you woke up and you had this reality, you had this pain, and you had this internal thought. So a lot of people when they're in pain right now, they're trying to figure out what foot they got to get out of bed. Then they got to figure out what foot they got to put in front of the other one, or if they actually can do something with it. What was that internal thought or that fortitude that you had, the internal thought to overcome that pain, and what action did it drive?
I have to say this, pain and fear, you're going to be overwhelmed with pain and fear, guys. And you know what? I can tell you from experience from a guy that completely collapsed in 2017 with anxiety and depression because I took on too much. I have over 26 businesses and they're all delegated. I have departments for every single organization. We have an organization, for God's sakes. But let me tell you this, I grew so quickly and I took on so much. I didn't have the capacity at that time. This is why I have mentors. I didn't have the capacity, so I crashed with anxiety and depression. But you know what? Just like, because our minds, they're the most powerful thing on this earth, right? We can manifest and create anything and everything that we really put our minds to. So when it starts working against you, which for a lot of people here, it will start working against you. Oh, you can't do this. And oh, give up now. Go back to your job. That's you're going to have these thoughts. I had to mind, I'm going to curse here because I have to. I am a Christian man, but I had to mind fuck myself. Hey, Carlos, if you can make it through this, you're going to fucking fly. If you can make it through this, you're going to fucking fly. Get through this. You got this. Get through this. I had to mind fuck myself because my mind is the most powerful weapon that I have on this earth, and it was being used against me. I was using my own mind against me, and I had to get through. By every counterproductive thought that I had to counter it with positive thoughts. No, you got this. Shut up. I'm in control here.
No, what I love.
You see what I'm saying?
No, what's good about it is like, what I love is you have this internal fortitude that you've expressed so many times in your story. What I love is a lot of people will share their story, but their actions don't align with the fact that they overcome their tragedies or their pain. But what we've seen is your results speak for the fact of what you actually have done before to get where you're at today. And even that thing is when you had to mind fuck yourself and you had to actually create a new reality in which even it wasn't your reality. You had to create a new reality and drive your actions towards that. And then I just want to thank you for being a part, man. Carlos, the contribution you gave tonight has been epic. I don't know. Hey, can we all give Carlos just a freaking big
Carlos, I love you, buddy. I love you,
Love
bro.
you guys. Love you guys.
Man, it's been awesome.
Ken, let me say this, guys. Guys, everybody here, I love people. I love humanity. I've been through so much that, things in your life, your heart changes, your soul changes. So I feel for a lot of people's pain. And let me just say this, okay? Your current situation is not your final destination. You make sure you remember that. You make sure you remember that, okay? Love you guys. Thank you for having me on.
Love you, buddy.
Thanks so much, man.
Thank you. Thank you, brother.
Now, Ken, I'm excited for the next guy coming up. His first name starts with an M, last name starts with a B. I know he's on here. One of our favorites, man. So I know he's going to bring some value tonight. So I'm going to toss it back to you, brother.
Hey, listen, guys, next guy. Hey, how many of you guys enjoyed Carlos? Dude, dude, this guy, if you're not following on Instagram, I know the stuff's in the thing there. You need to follow him. Crushing it in business. Dude, what a heart too. What a heart. And I'm super glad connected. This next guy, Matt Buchanan, he's a fellow 10Xer. This kid's 22 years old. He's grown his business 1,900%. I interviewed him a couple weeks ago on my Instagram Live. You guys are going to enjoy this young fellow. Matt Buchanan, you ready to roll, my friend?
Yes, sir. I'm ready to roll. Thanks for having me, Ken. Great to see you again. Thank you for putting us
Matt.
together. Nate, good to see you.
My man, good to see you.
Good to see you guys. Can everybody hear me okay? Good, cool. I appreciate everybody coming on here. When I've been able to build what I believe has been a really great relationship with Ken, and Ken has definitely been a mentor for me and guided me in a lot of different areas that I definitely haven't thought about before. And I just appreciate you putting this together again, Ken, and bringing everybody together. It's really hard to find people like you and Nate that are just real leaders out there. I think a lot of people in here would agree with me as well. And I just really appreciate that and having me on here. And what I would like to do is share with you guys, because I know we only have a few minutes. I want to share with you guys some exact strategies and some exact things that you guys can implement for your business, especially at a time like this with social media. A little intro for those of you, I know there's a lot of familiar faces on here: Christian Gomez, Alexis, Abby, C-Rock, Cynthia, Ginger. Appreciate everybody being on here. A little bit about me for those of you who don't know: I'm the founder of Pioneers of Marketing. We help people get new customers using social media. I started this 3.5 years ago. In the past 8 months, I've been able to grow my business by now 2,100% in the last 8 months. Fortunate enough and grateful enough to be featured on Forbes #1 marketing conference, the 10X growth conference. That's why I'm all about 10X. They've been really, really big supporters of me and helping me out. We've worked with a lot of people between my team and I, with Grant Cardone's entire executive team. Whether you like him or you don't like him, the fact of the matter is he knows what he's doing when it comes to sales and business. And he works with companies like the U.S. Army, organizations like the U.S. Army, and all these massive companies, right? So that's a little bit about me. And I was talking to Ken about this a few weeks ago. For about a period of, I would say, 2.5 years, I went out and I was door knocking on doors and knocking on doors all over the city, from city to city, and cold calling on people, getting maybe one customer a month. I remember one time I was in Philadelphia and I found the cheapest hotel I could find. I was Googling on my phone, hotel near me, after door knocking for literally the whole day. And I found this really, really cheap hotel, went there, stayed the night. There was garbage under the bed. There was like sirens on the whole. It was just a terrible situation. I love Philly, but it was a terrible situation. And the reason I'm saying this is because I was struggling for a long time with just trying to find the right information and finding a way to grow my business. And for me, the reason why I'm doing this every single day, because most of my friends that I grew up with, they're like, Matt, all you do is work now. You never come out. You never do anything. The reason why I'm doing this is my grandpa, when I was real young, he took me under his wing when I was about 14 years old. And he would literally bring me from house to house and supplied me with a mower, and he drove me from everywhere, and I would go and cut people's grass. And the reason I'm bringing him up is because he had a stroke about 7 years ago. He's completely paralyzed now. He can't do anything. And everybody, obviously, I know has their stories and has their things that happen to them. Everybody has it. I get it. I'm just sharing with you guys why I do that. I do that because I want to be able to take my grandpa out of his nursing home. I want to be able to have him live with my grandma again. They do not have any money. They were not brought up with money. They were not around money. Great people. I love them to death. But that's part of the reason why I do what I do, because I want to be able to create a situation where I can help my grandpa with that. That's a little bit about myself. Now, in terms of social media, getting back to bringing some value with you guys with social media, specifically what I want to share with you guys is exactly what you can apply right now to grow your business, especially at a time like this when everybody's on their phones. Everyone's on their phones. Everyone's on Facebook and Instagram and YouTube and everything like that. If you guys have a social media and you've been on social media, you guys know you see everybody on it, and everybody is on social media. There's a 2-step process. It's branding and then advertising. This is the same exact process that we've applied for people like Brandon Dawson, who's generated well over $1 million in new business, all through his social media. He's partners with Grant Cardone. It's the same process that I've been able to use for my business that has scaled my business from doing about $6,000 a month to $125,000 a month in 8 months. And I don't say these things to brag. I'm saying it because I spent 3.5 years. 3.5 years, this has been my goal of mine. So I'm really happy about it. And it's something that's really worked. The first step is branding. This is the first step that you guys have to take to apply to your business to monetize social media. Branding is all about getting known and building trust and building credibility. Those are the two results. If you look at business from a systematic standpoint, the result of branding is to get known and build trust and credibility. Then the second process is advertise. The result of advertising when it comes to social media with what I'm talking about is to generate leads, opportunities that you can then funnel into your sales process. Now, when it comes to branding specifically, how you guys can implement a social media brand for your business, number one, everything should be a personal brand. That's the first thing. You see Ken Joslin doing, he's crushing it right now. You see it, Mike C-Rock, Antonio White, you see everybody doing this. It's the same thing. You got to use a personal brand. And the three principles required, I'm big on principles. The 3 principles required, and by the way, I know I'm young. I know I'm 22 years old, and that's why I only stick to things that I've gotten down. Only things that I've really learned. I don't try and branch off into things. There's a lot of things. Most things I don't know anything about. But when it comes to social media, our generation freaking created Facebook and Instagram. We created this stuff. We grew up with it in high school. So that's why I'm comfortable talking about these things, because we've gotten so many results for people. Now, the principles with social media is, number one, you got to have an audience. You have to have followers on your social media pages. That's the first thing. And I'll explain why and how to do that. Second thing is you have to put out content on your stories and on your wall. Those are the three principles to create a brand. I'll share with you guys exactly how you can do that, what to do, why it's important. Now, to advertise it, advertising, remember, is just generating leads from the brand you're creating. Who here knows Nike? Everybody knows Nike. Everybody knows Nike. They have a really, really strong brand. Everybody knows about them, and a lot of people trust them. So when they put out an advertisement to generate leads on TV or YouTube or Facebook ads or whatever they're doing, they're going to sell products. Why? Because so many people know about them and a lot of people trust them. So it doesn't matter what happens. When they post that out and they advertise it, they're going to get revenue. So how can you guys, and how can I, and how can people that are running small businesses or salespeople or doing whatever we're doing, how can we bring in new leads through social media? Number one, direct messages. I know people right now that have made $4 or $5 million just through direct messages. Number two, they can have promoted content towards their audience. You can pitch to your audience every single day. Number three, you can run ads. Number four, you can go to events. Perfect example is when I went to the growth conference, I connected with a really, really inspiring person, David Carley. Talked to them for literally 60 seconds or 90 seconds or so. And just by talking with them for about 90 seconds, we took that conversation. I first went for his cell phone number. I had to. I mean, it's 10X in me, you know. And then I asked him to then follow me on social media, and he did. And long story short, about 2.5 weeks later, from nurturing that relationship online with social media, he said, hey, I want some help with social media. I would love to hear what you got, and that kind of thing. And long story short, we ended up working together on, I think it was like an $18,000 deal that we worked on together, literally just by taking that relationship we formed for 90 seconds and then nurturing that relationship online on social media, because that's what social media is all about. It's a social networking app. It's a social networking app. Networking. So when you can take those relationships that you're forming online or offline with people and then cross traffic that, for example, on this Zoom call, if you're speaking to somebody on a Zoom call or to an audience on Zoom call, if you can get that audience to follow you, or a percentage of that audience to then follow you on social media, that's one of the first ways you can advertise your social media brand, because now they come to your brand and they see that you are a credible person. You're a leader in your space, which gives you influence. I know Nate May and I know Ken, Joslin are big John Maxwell fans, and I am too. He always talks about how leadership is measured by the amount of influence that you have over others. So when you can create a brand that positions yourself as a leader in your space, it gives you influence over others, which then creates them and has them to follow you. So I kind of got off track there, but advertising is all those things. Plus you can do phone calls, text messages, online events, those kind of things. So that's how you do it. I know we're running out of time here, so I don't want to go over time. If anybody's interested in learning specifically how I can hands-on help you guys with implementing that for yourself or for your business, whether you're a salesperson, you just started the business, or you're doing $50 million or $180 million a year right now, we're putting together a one-day masterclass. It's normally $4,000. We can do it for anybody in here for $2,000, because Ken and I were talking, we wanted to do something for you guys. Let me know. I could put my number in the chat, or this is Ken's audience and Nate's audience. So however you guys want to do it, I respect you guys, obviously. But I would love to help anybody one-on-one with that masterclass.
Yeah,
Hey,
Matt's contact information is there if you guys want to give a question. Nate, go ahead, buddy.
Hey, Matt, feel back. You got a second for a question, brother?
Yeah, absolutely.
Man, I still can't believe you're freaking 22, man. I can't wait till I meet you and you can grow a beard, dude. Then I'm like, this man is gonna destroy the world. When you got a beard, I'm like, you're already crushing them. And you got
I just ordered one. I just ordered a beard online.
All right, man, you should get one, man. I could trim up, like, shave some of these locks for you, bro.
Yeah, send it over. I'll give you my address.
Hey, Matt, there's a lot of people on here which they want to get started on social media. They're trying to do it, but what they're doing is they're mimicking other people. And I know you know this as well as I know, being around the block with this stuff, is like you cannot be not who you are. You have to be who you are. So can you tell some people some practical tips about how they could just get started on and just being who they are to build their brand? Because, and they have to find some internal inspiration. Would you not agree? And can you just maybe give a couple tips, man? I know you can't lift the hood, give away all the goodies.
No, yeah, 100%. Yeah, absolutely.
That's just getting rolling, man. Like, hey, post a story. What should I post about? Hey, do something on my wall. What does that look like? Should I post a picture of my car or my, we all ain't got jets. You know what I'm saying? So what do we do to, make sure that's a reality? Give some practical tips for the folks.
Love it. So let's go to brand. The first thing that most people skip is they skip the brand and they go right to just running ads or doing whatever they got to do. First thing is you got to get the brand down. So to create that brand, like I mentioned, it's followers, content on the story, content on the wall. Number one thing is you got to build your audience. You got to get followers on your page. You have to get people on there. You need an audience you can pitch to, and you also need followers on there so you can have social credibility. It's just like if you go to a busy restaurant and you get to a busy restaurant and there's hundreds of people there. Well, that raises the altitude and the influence of that restaurant over the perception that they have over you. So we trust them. So first things first is always tell people to follow you on social media, get into giveaway campaigns where people can do it, but specifics to get into your question, practicals, post on your story at least 6 to 7 times per day, and post on your wall directly to your Facebook wall, LinkedIn wall, Instagram wall, at least 2 to 3 times per week. There's 3 different pieces of content that you can post. There's personal, professional, and lifestyle. That's creating that overall personal brand. Personal content is emotional-based content, family-based content. If you don't want to do family, not a problem. I know a lot of people that don't do that. It's just more things that are personal and emotional to you that isn't business related. Professional content is everything business. It's promoting what you do for your business. It's running promotions. It's explaining to people what you do. It's all business stuff. It's made to generate leads and get out of obscurity with your customers. And then the third piece of content is lifestyle. That's just documenting the life that you live. That's documenting the life that you either are living now, that you want to create. Those are the 3 different pieces of content. And for a time like this right now, where social media is a great opportunity to monetize and bring in more business, the best thing you can do or anybody can do right now is get that brand down. So once this whole storm comes over and this whole storm is done and this whole crisis is done, well, now during the time you position yourself as a leader in the space, which is part of the reason why I've been masterminding with people like Bobby Castro, who just sold his business for $1 billion, and Brandon Dawson sold his, like all these people that are crushing it. I've been collaborating with them and Ken and everybody and Nate and everybody in here. So that way I can use that as content, putting it on my social media, which now gives me altitude and influence over my target market. That's the biggest thing that I can say in terms of practicality.
Hey, Matt, let me ask you this question, just maybe a little more practical from this standpoint. Yeah. How many times do people need to post? Let's say their Instagram page. How many posts, the square posts, the regular ones on their regular page, they post 2 to 3 times a week? And what's the reasoning behind that?
Yeah, I mean, it just depends on where you're starting. Like, I'm just saying that because we're talking to a group of 84 people. Some people that already have a really strong presence on their Instagram and already have a lot of content out there, and they already have a lot of wall posts, then you don't really need to post all the time. But for somebody just coming in that just opened up an Instagram page and they literally have nothing on there, then I would say post 45 posts in the next week, because you don't want to start sending out DMs to people and going to events and doing all these things and trying to position yourself as a leader when there's not even enough content for people to learn about you. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Well, I think, Ken, on that, I think, Matt, you can attest to this. I think a lot of people are out there trying to fake it to make it in social media, right? And by the way, I'm not a social media expert. You know this, Matt. We've had these discussions, but one thing I am is I am a branding expert. And one of the things that I want everybody to agree on, I mean, not agree on, but just understand is like, don't fake it till you make it. Be authentic until people see who you really are.
I love that. Yeah, I couldn't agree with you.
Let your authenticity shine. And when your authenticity truly shines, what you do is you attract to the audience, not that you deserve, but the audience that will gravitate to what you're trying to offer. So that is something that is really powerful in building a brand. Is like everybody wants to lead what other people are doing, and they want to be like that. But what you have to do is you got to do you. You got to be you-ier. Does that make sense? I don't know if that's a word. You got to be you-ier, not them-ier. You got to be you-ier. And when you
But
do
You
that,
gotta
people-
document. It's exactly to your point. You have to document.
Yeah,
What a
I
lot
love
of
it. I
people
love
do
it, man.
is like, Nate, yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. What social media is it's reality TV. That's why I love when you're cooking, Ken, and you're posting about you cooking, because not only does that food look amazing, but it's also
Hey.
smart, because what it does is allows you to build relationships.
Right. It's
Like,
funny,
you
and
take
we're gonna
massive
bring
amounts of action. It's so amazing to watch.
Anthony in real quick, but I'll give you a story. I had one of my real estate clients call me, and she's like, Ken, she goes, man, every day I see you working out. You've lost 40 pounds, or now I'm to 42 pounds. You're working out. I see all your posts, and this is what I told her. I said, do you not look at my Instagram at nighttime of all my big green egg and Traeger pictures? There's a reason I have to post all my workout pictures in the morning. Hey guys, y'all give it up to Matt
Let's
Buchanan. Hey, let him know how much you appreciate him being on here. Matt, dude, I love you. I love your heart. I love what you're doing, man. I love your passion. Matt and I, we have off the record, heart to heart conversations. Not really about business, but Matt and I, it's about character. It's about integrity. It's about the really the dangers and the traps of being that successful at 22 years old.
Bro, build your business, Matt, man. Build your business to last. By the way, I'm a champion for you on that, bro. Build your business to last. And you're doing the right thing, man. I'm proud of you, bro.
And so Nate knows, I see C-Rock nodding his head, and Antonio, guys that are, a little more seasoned. So listen, I'm gonna get ready to introduce our next guest. You guys know, in the summertime, they call them blockbusters that come out. Like, there's all these great movies that are coming out. I'm going to go ahead and unmute Anthony now. There are all these great movies that come out. But like when The Rock does a movie, like this blockbusters, and then there's like The Rock movie. Anthony, bro, I'm going to be really honest with you. We got a great lineup tonight. But bro, I have been waiting on you to be here all night long tonight. Like you are
no
my
pressure,
guy.
right? No pressure.
You are from the first time we connected, man. I'm like, I told all my friends, I'm like, listen, man, this cat right here. I said, this is what I said. I said, he makes me look like I sleepwalk all the time. Like I don't have any energy. But anyway, hey guys, Anthony Trucks, a former University of Oregon player. I think they even beat that Maize and Blue team one time. I think you talked a little trash to me before.
Don't think we know this took place. We're before the sports. Then we got the SI cover curse. Yeah. No
Okay.
good.
Hey, can we mute him real quick, guys? Hey, but anyway, Anthony, tell our audience real quick a little bit about what you do, what's going on, and then talk about expansion. Take about 10 minutes to talk about expansion during crisis. And I'd love our audience to get an opportunity to do some Q&A.
Oh, yeah. So let's do this. So my name's Anthony Trucks, like you just said. I'm a former NFL athlete. Also, I play with the Bucks, Redskins, Steelers. That is not anything that I would say is my claim to my expertise. I actually teach coaches and speakers and those who are like experts in the world how to upgrade how they operate as human beings so they can be more, do more, and have more, which results in more income, more impact, and influence. And yes, I've said that a whole bunch of times because it's a cleaner way, but I promise, like when I get down to the nuts and bolts, that's the damn thing I do. I have a ton of fun doing it because, man, I'm a guy that's broke my life. I grew up in a lot of weird stuff. My core is identity. That's really what I work in. How do I get people to be the individual that they look at the people and go like, I want to be like that. And you look at them and you go, man, that's a lot to do. And then you get to the point of saying, man, if I could do all that stuff like it's typical Tuesday, like I'd kill the game because there's no shortage of information. There's no shortage of tools. We all got them, but some people, for some reason, seem to be magical and make it work. And I show you how that takes place. Identity is my thing because I grew up, I was given away at 3 years old in foster care. I was adopted into an all-white family at 14. So I spent about 11 years in a really heinous system. Got a chance to play high school football, sucked at it, got better somehow, ended up going to college at U of O, got a scholarship, had a son at 20 years old, which is not the smart thing to do. I don't recommend you do it, but stay with my high school sweetheart, my fiance at the time. Met my real dad like a year later. Actually, it's game ball back here. First time I met my real dad was national television, first collegiate start, and I started as a true sophomore over a 50-year senior. I just balled, man. It was a good time. Progressed into the NFL. NFL stands for not for long. That hurt in my third year. Came home, opened a gym. Novel idea for an athlete. I know my degrees in kinesiology. A few years later, been broke my life. I got to the point where my wife had an affair. My family fell apart. The business sucked. I was out of shape. I'd lost the identity of a football player. I was in a massive crisis. I literally I broke my life. I call it like my software crashed. Like a computer has the hardware, the software runs it, the programming, right? I wasn't operating very smooth. Had to figure out how the hell I broke my life. And then what I did is I started progressing forward and figuring out how things worked, where I was having to download the information of what I really needed to work on as a human to be able to have everything build up. So I got to the point where after like, man, 3 years in a fog, I've like had this light switch moment of like, this is not the life I want to live. I was actually like 3 years out of the league, sleeping in a 500 square foot studio apartment with my kids on an air mattress next to me. Like 3 kids, I had 2 more with my wife. So it was all bad. Figured it out, man. And a lot of it came to like, I just didn't have the right beliefs and thoughts and actions. And like the mindset was all off. I had bad habits and I didn't have a good sense of confidence anymore. I had to build that over time. And the more I did it, the better I got, to where 1 year in 2013, I had to borrow $5,000 from my ex-wife, which is not fun to do if you got an ex-wife. I don't know if you guys know that. That's not what you ask for money. And the next year made $406,000, had contracts that built up. And like, I started making great strides. And I realized there's a great deal of experience and expertise in my world and my life. My adoptive mom passed after 17-year battle with MS. And I realized like, I got to get back to this world and reach a high potential. So my core is like, I got to get people to reach a full potential. Like statistically, I'm not supposed to be doing what I do. And like, damn it, if I can't get better. So I pushed. I started getting into the speaking world, went from sitting in a seat in a Burchard event to now I've spoken on like 10 of his stages. I'm in a creepy mastermind, which is amazing minds like Brendan and Dean, Graziosi, Lewis House, Trent Shelton, Jay Shetty, Prince. Yeah, I'm name dropping, but you get it, big minds. And now I'm in this blessed opportunity to go back and say, what in the hell worked for me? And it was the human being behind the scenes. It wasn't the tools. It wasn't the techniques. I'd spent a lot of time on those, but nothing was moving. It was like, when I get to that point of like overwhelm or stretched, how do I operate? How do I push? How do I flow? How do I stretch? How do I lean into it? And the more I learned to ratchet things in, the more I could excel and achieve. So I'm in a place with guys who are seriously, no lie, like the shortest amount of time, they're like 10 to 10, 11 years in. I'm like 6 years in. And the only thing that's different is like, I get way more done in an average day than anybody else. I now got back with my ex-wife. I have my family, which you see in a picture here, back together. My kids are all in the house. Like, I have a phenomenal, like, beautiful life. And I love just coming like this to share with you guys information. So that was a longer intro, but here's the thing. At the end of the day, the most important piece I can give to you guys is you've got to get to the point of grasping that no matter where you're at, we all want more. We can all test that. That's cool. More money, it's some way. I want to be able to reach more people. I want to be the face whenever I walk to a stage and see people like see my face on the thing. And right, you want to have your face in the summit picture that brought you here. All that's possible. The only difference is, are you doing what you're supposed to do with your time? Are you operating in all aspects? Not productivity though. Productivity is good, but it'll ruin your life, because I was productive and I neglected my family and I neglected my health, right? It's how do I operate in all of it? How do I show up and handle crazy moments? Because there's 4 areas you got to operate. It's business, it's family, it's health, and it's the moments you can't get back. How do I operate when I don't feel like doing this thing? Do I do it? Do I not do it? Do I get overwhelmed? Do I make excuses? Do I procrastinate? And if you can lean into those things, that's how you change the game. And there's a process you go through to stretch. I don't know how much time we have. I'm rattling things off, but damn it, if you guys take nothing from my time today, it's this. There's a 7-second rule I've implemented in my life. My clients seem to love this thing. I literally, like, there's a lot of stuff that comes across my plate where I'm like, oh, I don't want to do this. And I'm sure you all have moments you're like, I got to write this. I got to read this. I got to, right? Within 7 seconds, if I can't flip it to like, oh shit, this is going to be amazing. Like, I'm going to figure it out. Like, if I can't 7 seconds to like, I want to solve this puzzle, I will always fall on my face. So I am in the place to try to tune my brain and tune my clients' brains into like, I need to get you to those moments and then show you how to navigate those, because what happens the next time, it doesn't even cross your path as a problem. It just gets done. It's like, oh, and then now what happens is now I close what I call the identity gap of what's called CLO, my comprehensive lower operation, to my CPO, my comprehensive peak operation. And this gap is, it's one you can close by making this identity shift I talk about. And that's the goal. It's like, how do I get to this tier? And I don't care who you are. I got clients who are like executives at Amazon, and they're talking about egos. These guys got egos. And the idea is like, damn it, I'm going to poke and prod. I need to get you to moments where you try to give me excuses and show you how to climb the walls. Then when you do, it's like, oh, that's awesome. I'm that guy now. Because here's the thing, any of your heroes, this is always like my measure, my gauge. When I get to the moment of overwhelm, I ask like, would P. Diddy or Richard Branson look at my schedule and say, oh yeah, that's a pretty tough day? If they would look at my schedule and laugh at me, I must do more, because every level you're trying to reach right now, everything you're running into, if it's still stressing you, you are never going to get there. You've got to find this clear picture in your brain of like, that place I want to get to when I'm meeting that, that's what I got to do right now. And I got to build and build and build and stretch to the point where that literally becomes like second nature.
So Anthony, you're talking about like literally, bro, just almost like working a muscle. If I'm bench pressing and I'm at 185 and I want to get to 225, I'm not going from 185 to 225 next week.
No,
It's
people leave the
185
gym.
to 190.
Yeah,
Yeah,
people come in the
exactly
regular.
right.
They come in like, oh, it's too heavy. I'm going to come back later and hope that next time I come in, I'll be stronger. Like, no, that's not how it works. You go to a lighter weight, you build up to where that weight that was heavy becomes your warm up. It takes time though.
Anthony,
Hey,
hey,
so-
I'm the MC here. Good friends with Ken for 19 years.
What to do?
One of the things that you said that really struck me, because I think a lot of us are living in this season where there's moments we've never seen before, moments we don't know, moments we're experiencing with our kids, our family, our business, because everything's changing. Will you unpack for a minute what you said? I gravitated towards it. I'm doing this selfishly for me. What does it look like when you say moments you don't get back?
Yeah,
Like,
so
unpack that for a minute.
everybody has great feelings now. Like, I feel good. I'm going to do this when that time. I want to be great, right? And then the moment shows up and you don't master the moment. I say mastering moments moves mountains. And in those moments, that 7 second I talk about, like, it's like in that moment, what am I doing to lean in and do what I said I'm going to do? So there's this really unique power to this that most people skip and miss out on. Whenever I go to make a workout, like, or I have to eat a meal, or I skip that meal, it's not that I'm just skipping that meal, but it has something to do with my core identity. So this is one that you guys got to grab. This will be quick, but very helpful. It'll make sense for this. So in this area we're in right now, how do we manage this moment in time? How do we handle now? How do we expand right now? The thing is, we're all met with moments that we have to figure out. Like, it's the morning, I got a bunch of time. I don't got to go out. I got to figure out. I have what's called an ideal identity, the one that I got to be is going to reach what I want to reach. And it's comprised of 6 little sections. It's a Venn diagram: beliefs, thoughts, actions. Beliefs are like what I believe must be done. Who am I? What's going on in the world? The thoughts, what's running in my head all day long. Can I? Should I? How does it take place? The actions, the big needle movers, the big ones are like, I'm scared of, but I got to do. I got to launch. I got to push. I got to call somebody. Whatever it is. Those all overlap though. Between thoughts and beliefs, you have what's called your mindset. If I don't believe I'm supposed to do something, then I don't think I'm supposed to. There's weakness. Or if I believe I'm supposed to, and I question myself, can I sell this? Will they buy it? Am I good enough? Mindset's weak. I don't move. But mindset has a master. It's identity. I had a great mindset. I was a former NFL linebacker. Broke my life. Like, you got to have more. Then you have between your thoughts and your actions is your habits. We all know habits. I'm not going to go deep. You got to have better habits. The habits you have feel comfortable, raise it till they're uncomfortable, do them until they become comfortable. You kill it. The big piece is between beliefs and actions. The big actions I know I'm supposed to do and I believe I should, but then I don't. It's where your character, your pride, and your ego lie. If I am looking at my life and I might talk about, like, I want to take this action and I don't, I get this small ego. I feel less than. Oh, you suck. Why did you do that? It was just one burrito. No. Like, that matters. But if I take the action, I'm like, yeah, look at you, you're great. And so I can show up bold, and it'll ooze into my sales conversations. It'll ooze into my social media. People will know through your eyes if you believe in you. And so these actions aren't just an action just to take it to move the needle. It's who are you? So that when it comes time for you to fight for yourself and say, no, I deserve this speech. I'm the best coach. I should help you. It comes from these little moments. And if you take this whole diagram and flip it on its side and put propellers on it like a drone, if you think about a drone, one propeller goes out, that thing turns and falls into a wall. You can't keep rising. You need all these running.
That's good, Anthony.
Beliefs, thoughts, actions, habits, mindset, ego. If they're all moving smooth, damn it, you rise. And so here's 3 stages to do this. See, shift, sustain. Real quick. You got to see what is needing to be seen that you don't want to see, that you got to work on. Part of my marriage being fixed was me owning up to things I was struggling with. And I'm like, damn it, I don't want to see it. But now that I do, I can work on that. So see what really has to be seen. Then shift. If you do the shift first, just start working on things, you'll find you climb a ladder that's leaned against the wrong building. It's like, I did all this work. It was the wrong work. Go see first, then shift. You got to figure out what, and it's this 3 process: design your ideal identity, develop a plan to make it come to action and come to reality, deploy it into the world, go do the work. Then when it do things and come back, debrief, redo it. Over time, you become this different monster. As a statement, write this down. What you create creates you. The creation process is dirty, long, and ugly. But when you get done with that, if you don't turn around and go, I'm a monster, like, then you're crazy, because the work you have to do to get there, it creates this different confidence, self-esteem, like different human. The last part, sustain the trajectory, find people that have a great groove, and that's how you'll be able to make this shift I'm talking about. Damn, we got a whole lot in like 10 minutes, my man.
Anthony, and my guy, I told you the Rock is in the building, guys.
threw it all at you. And I didn't even know we were on right now. I was on a different summit and they're like, someone texts like, you gonna get on? I'm like, oh, I'm on. I thought it was like 3 hours from now. It's Eastern time.
Hey, Anthony, you got a mic? You got a mic real quick? Hey, just drop that shit. Just drop it. Drop the mic.
There it goes.
Anthony, listen, bro. Listen, man. I'm super grateful. Glad we got connected. Just enjoying our friendship. We've got Pastor Tim Storey. Tim, I would love. Do you have a question for Mr. Anthony, real quick?
Yeah, number one, I'm a fan of his.
Appreciate it, man.
And I'm very proud of him. You know, I really am proud of him. See, shift, sustain, great points. And I love the way he talked about that, because you got to visualize it. And then Anthony, I like what you said about the shift. So sometimes that's that paradigm shift that you were honest enough to talk about doing that in your marriage. As you know, so many NFL players don't know how to make that shift. And then to sustain, most people are great starters. They start diets, they start a lot of things, but they don't know how to sustain. So I love what Anthony is up to. And I think that he is very fresh in the game right now. And he's going to just take what he's doing in self-help motivation to a whole other level and take it worldwide. The world's looking for you, Anthony. So go do it.
Man. Yes, they are, Anthony. Anthony, dude, I love you, buddy. Thank you for taking some time.
My pleasure.
Out to be with us tonight, bro. Appreciate you. Grateful for you. And like I said, man, when it comes to blockbusters, baby, you're the rock.
Appreciate you, man. Seriously, thank you. All right, this is what I'm gonna do. I do have to hop off though, because my children are like, I thought it was 7 o'clock. So I'm gonna go get my kids and hang out with them for a little bit. Love you guys. Hang out with Thank you so much for having me. Take care, everybody.
Hey guys, real quick, I want to introduce you guys to Pastor Tim. I was fortunate enough to have Tim on Instagram Live about a week or two ago and have a conversation. I asked him to be a part, and he graciously accepted. Probably one of my biggest moments I was looking forward tonight was to have Tim kind of ask Anthony a question, and then in typical Pastor Tim Storey form, he talked to the youngster in the room and told him how proud he was and patted him on the back and told him he was doing a great job. So not much to say. Pastor Tim, man, we'd love for you to take about 10 or 15 minutes and share tonight, and then we'd love to get some Q&A with you when we get done.
Number one, what a great looking panel. I don't know if that was part of the deal, but you just got a great looking panel. So just a couple things. I think that one of the things that I've found about what you're teaching and what other people on the panel are teaching, because I did my homework to find out who's going to be on, is living this uncommon life. To be uncommon is not normal, not regular, and not the norm. And so the reality is that we don't really have to do much to think about being uncommon. Uncommon is in us already. And I believe that an utmost God did not create almost children. So that's why I could go to Soweto, South Africa, and I could be in a township, and I'll say to the little kids, what do you want to be when you grow up? And one will say, I want to be like Nelson Mandela, or I want to be like LeBron James. And they all want to do something that is amazing and uncommon, because uncommon is in the inside of us. And so now we got to figure out a way to cooperate with our uncommon calling. Now, all of us are called to do something. A calling that we received is specific, and it's also unique. So I don't want to be anybody else but what I'm called to do. So the guys that do things in my space, congratulations. If I played in the NBA, I wouldn't want to be any other player but the one that I was. So number one, we all have a calling. It's specific and it's unique. And you've heard it said before, you've been born an original, don't die a copy. So number one, the thing that I find about people that are uncommon, not normal, not regular, is number one, they have uncommon thoughts. And what I find is that when a lot of kids tell their parents about uncommon thoughts, they're kind of like, watch, press down, like don't be thinking that way. And many times their teachers will do that to them. And, you know, there's been some studies that are very, very interesting, Ken, is that it's not just the verbal things we say, it's the facial expressions. So maybe even you on the panel that are sitting there staring at me, you may have said to your parents or your teachers what you wanted to do, or to your friends. Maybe they didn't say anything verbally, but it was a facial expression. And so people that do big things like yourselves and all those that are watching and that will watch, is that number one, they have uncommon thoughts. Secondly, is that they make uncommon plans. They make uncommon plans. Walt Disney walked into a theme park in the 30s. And he said, I'm going to build my own theme park, but mine's going to be different, better, and more magical. Now, come on, you gotta love this.
Yeah.
He says, I'm going to do it, but mine's going to be different, better, and more magical. Okay. So I believe that in us, we want to use something different, better, and more magical. Magical is extraordinary. Come on, people. So inside of us is something in us that wants to do something different, better, more magical. Now, as a kid, 7 people in a 2-bedroom apartment in Compton, I'm going to tell you the truth. I knew I was going to do something different, better, and more magical. I didn't know how I was going to get there. I didn't have the right contacts. I just knew that I was going to be little Timmy Storey. And when I went on the grounds of Disneyland, I'm trying to tell you, something shifted in me, because I'd never, first of all, seen a place so clean. Secondly, I saw these rides I'd never seen. They had a bear that could sing, the Country Bear Jamboree. They had It's a Small World After All. Woo, that place messed with my mind in a good way. So I think that people like yourselves, you think uncommon thoughts, you make uncommon plans like Walt Disney, different, better, more magical. But then I'm going to leave with this one, then we'll do a Q&A, is that the people who do well in life, they have uncommon discipline. Now, I'm of mixed heritage. My mother is Spanish, from Spain. She speaks very broken English, even to this day. She's 89 and she's powerful. She's a strong lady. So my mother used to say to us, don't do a half job. So, man, my bedroom was clean. I was clean. My Converse tennis shoes were clean. And something that you will find out, any one of you that hangs out with me, is that, Ken, when you told me to be on at this time, I was on early. If you ever eat breakfast with me, I will be there early. When you take me to Mastro's in Beverly Hills, I will be there early. I show up early every damn time. Look, not some. I don't call in sick. I didn't miss any school. I don't call in like a crybaby saying I don't feel good, because my mother, Vicentita Gonzalez, taught me don't do a half-ass job, so I don't. I believe that discipline did something in my life. So watch this. That kind of discipline is part of what I call the law of the harvest. You got to plow the ground. Watch me. You got to plant the seed. You got to water the seed, and then you're going to reap the harvest. Everybody wants a harvest, but they don't want to plow. I'm a plower. I do the hard work. I do the work that sucks. How'd you start becoming the life coach to the biggest celebrities in the world? Oh, I took an ad out in the LA Times saying famous friends wanted. No, I got good at something. I plowed the ground. I planted the seed. I watered the seed. Bam, 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 bam. I reaped the harvest. So many people always say, since you're so close with Oprah and you do all this stuff with Oprah, can you get me in with Oprah? And I always say, what's your backstory? I want to know, Ken, what have they been doing? Have they been plowing? Have they been planting? Have they been watering? Have they been harvesting? Because if you plow, you plant, you water, guess what's going to happen? The harvest is coming. Payday is on its way. Aren't you glad you guys are uncommon thinkers?
I'm ready to take an offering up. Can we pray and take an offering up, Pastor Tim?
Can
Yeah,
I get
let's
him an
take it
amen?
up. Take it
Amen.
up. Take it up and give it to Stacy.
Come on, man.
Stacy Harris was listening to me. I like Stacy.
Hey,
Yes, she
Tim.
was.
Hey, Tim,
Yeah,
my
go
name's
ahead.
Nate. I'm one of the MCs here for Grow Stack Drive. There's something you said that really touched me. Is that I think a lot of people on this call, like, I think we all have a desire to be different, but there's a gap between different and magical. How do you bridge that gap, man? You know, you got this, you want to be different, better, but like for you, like you had the desire to be different and you were going to be magical, but there was, from this harvest mentality you're talking about, this harvest, there was a harvest where you knew you had to sow to be different, right?
Yeah.
And then what did the harvest look like when it meant to be like, I'm going to sow to be freaking magical?
And Mike, I like your energy, Mike Ciorrocco over there. So great question. So here's what I believe. We're trying to think too much, like trying to figure things out. What we need to do is manifest the magic that God put in us. Is that the magic is on the inside. The creativity is on the inside. If you get around a Pharrell Williams, he's not trying to be Kanye West. If you get around Kanye West, he's not trying to be Bono.
Good. That's good.
So my thing is, man, I respect the other dudes in my world, like those other speakers. But when I take the mic to go speak on these big stages, I ain't trying to be no one but myself. And I'm going to manifest my inside magic. So Nate, May, be yourself.
Hey, Pastor Tim, what would you say is the number one thing? Why do people want to be somebody else? Why are they not comfortable being themselves?
Because I think that what's happened is that they were not assured and they were not confirmed and they were not protected when they were little, that it's okay if you're shy, be shy. If you're creative, be a creative. If you don't like soccer, you don't have to play in the AYSO. You know, it's like my friend Christian Lassiter, this guy, he's a famous painter. He was in third grade and he would look out the window and he would paint whales and things. And his teacher got nervous and said to his mother, he's looking at trees and he's painting whales. Yeah, he became one of the most famous painters of all time, painting underwater creatures. And so the idea is that this originality that God gave every one of us, that nobody has your fingerprint, nobody has your swagger, nobody has your step. So that's why when I see, and I'll say a few names. If I see a Grant Cardone, who I interviewed Sunday night, cool, that's my friend. Steve Harvey, hey, Steve, I don't want to be you. If I see Gary Vee, don't even want to be you. I'm okay doing me. And if doing me is doing me in front of 3 people or 30 million, I'm okay in either crowd.
Come on, let me say this real quick, Pastor Tim. I watched your interview with Grant and Elena the other day, and love the way that you handled them. Obviously, you know I'm close to Grant. I love, you know, I've had some behind the scene moments, some one-on-one time with him. So I really got to see behind the curtain with Grant and Elena, and I thought you did a phenomenal job. You said 3 words just a minute ago, and I asked you why aren't people comfortable being themselves?
Yes.
And I want to take a minute to honor you, because you said people aren't assured, they're not confirmed, and they're not protected.
Right.
You know what you did in that interview with Grant and Elena the other day? You assured them, you confirmed them, and you protected them.
Wow.
And I see you, everybody that I see you interview, you do those 3 things right there. And the reason you do that is because you see the true identity that's on the inside of every single person you get around. That's what I love about you so much.
Well, thank you for seeing that. And I think that, you know, I see a lot of powerful people, female and male, and I feel that so many times somebody just thinks that the person knows they're great. No, sometimes you just need to stand next to somebody. I remember I was having this great dinner with Bjorn Borg. Remember Bjorn Borg, the tennis player? So Bjorn's my buddy. We were doing this 3-hour dinner in Stockholm. And he talked about the loneliness of when he was at the top of his game. And it was for these 3 reasons that people thought he was, just knew he was Bjorn Borg, right? And so they didn't affirm him. They didn't protect him. They didn't stand with him. I stand with people. And sometimes standing with people, there's a very famous person that I can't tell you who it is, but I'd say one of the most 5 famous people we got on the planet. He was in a bad place. And so his managers called me in to talk to him. And I went into a room and it was pitch black. And for 30 minutes, I never said a word. I just sat there. He got up after 30 minutes and he hugged me and he said, "That's why I asked for you to come." He said, "Thanks for helping me." And then we left the dark room and never talked about the problem. So sometimes it's just being there for people.
That's so good. I talk a lot about that passionate leaders are intentional in adding value. And again, this is one of the reasons I'm just, number one, we're honored that you're here, but that is being assured, being confirmed, and being protected. That's exactly what you did there. What would you say as we get ready for our last speaker tonight, what would you say to the audience tonight about their ability to do those 3 things in people's lives around them every single day?
I think the first thing, you got to be comfortable with yourself. And you have to realize that you are a work in progress and that you're going through 2 things at the same time, recovery and discovery. So if I wait until I'm completely recovered before I start encouraging you guys, it's going to be a long time. I'm in recovery and discovery at all times. I still hurt from my father's death. I hurt from my brother's death. I hurt from my sister's death. I'm still in pain. So I'm in recovery and discovery at the same time. But I got to know that grace fills in the gaps. And that when I'm feeling that kind of pain, that God's grace is so with me that I could have enough strength to reach out to other people who are probably hurting worse than me.
Tim.
Pastor Tim, go ahead, Nate.
Tim, could one of the things that I find so powerful in what you're saying is I think a lot of people today in our culture, just on this call in general, I would say myself, is like we spend so much time in the comparison trap and we spend so much time figuring out what we think about God. And we spend very little time about what he thinks about us and what we should think about ourselves. So I would love to just give you a moment to be a pastor and maybe speak some words of affirmation about no matter whether they believe it or not, the ones that are listening, like, can you just tell them who they are, even if they don't believe it? Who are they?
Yeah. So I think there's an amazing scripture in Psalms 103 that says that God does not treat you as your sins deserve. For as high as the heavens are above the earth, so great is his love for those that honor him. And I feel like a lot of us that were raised in church, it was like, if we do this wrong, then we're going to get this response. If we do this wrong, then we get this response. And so we feel like we're going to get treated as our sins deserve. But the Bible says, for as high as the heavens are above the earth, so great is his love for those that honor him. And so I remember talking to Charlie Sheen one time, and we were doing a Bible study at Charlie's house for probably 2 to 3 years. And Charlie said, I never heard God explained this way, Tim. He said, you make him sound like he really does care about me, even in the midst of my crap. And I said, of course, because Psalms 103 goes on to say, and I close with this, for God knows your frame. The word frame is your makeup, your structure. I said, God knew, Charlie, that you had this stuff in your makeup or structure. So God knows your frame. So this is what's so powerful about this, is that, Nate, God knows your frame, but yet he calls you to big things. Yes. See, God calls shaky people to do sturdy projects because he knows he's bigger than our shakiness.
Pastor Tim, thank you, my friend. Thank you for being a part tonight. Honored for you to be here. Thank you for being one that assures, confirms, and protects those around you. And thank you for seeing the greatness on the inside of people. My friend, I love you. Look forward to getting out and spending some time with you.
Thank you, Pastor Tim.
Love you, buddy. Hey, guys, listen, our last guest tonight is none other than the Jedi Master himself, Mr. Richard Dolan from 10X headquarters. The first time I met Richie, he was on stage at boot camp in October down in Miami. I saw this guy get up on stage and begin to talk about this Grant Cardone licensee. And so we were a day and a half into the boot camp in Miami, and this guy got up on stage, and I immediately noticed, I said, this guy's different than Grant. He's different than some of these other guys that are presented. This guy's pretty sharp. Who is this guy? I literally sat on the front row with my phone in my hand, and I was researching who this Richard Dolan guy was. And when I found him on Instagram, his Instagram was just literally littered. The first picture I came across on Instagram was him and Michelle Obama on stage together speaking. And then it was just littered with people that he had just what Pastor Tim talked about a minute ago, stood beside, people that he had helped. And it's been one of the biggest honors for me over the past 6 months, 7 months, since I've gotten kind of connected with Grant in the 10X world and just seen my business grow. One of the biggest honors for me is to become friends with Richard Dolan. And guys, I'm honored that he's here. Richie, dude, I love you. You have been for 6 months someone who has spoken wisdom into my life and constantly has a heart and desire to speak life into those people that are around you, man. I just want to honor you. You guys put your hands together and welcome my man Richie Dolan in the house tonight.
Thank you so much, my man. What an absolute honor to be here with so many good-looking people in one place. You know, like, and you know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about David and Cynthia and Layla and Alan Parker. Looks like he's pretty chill back there. And yeah, I see you, Nate May. And then there's the usual suspects like Ciorrocco and Nick and Rosa, Alexis. I see you, girl, keeping it athletic. And then there's the obvious winners like Cynthia and Rocco Bravo, also known as Captain America. And you can't go without saying hello to Tom Alston. And you got Australia in the house with Helen and Amber. Good to see you. Good to see you, Matthew Buchanan, the genius of all things social media. Samantha Roberts, the queen of numbers. I mean, you've got an incredible group of incredible people here, man. So good for you, Ken, for pulling the world, the part of it that wants more, wants it now with no excuses. So good for you, man.
Thank you, my friend.
Now, you asked me to be here, and I mean, how do you follow Tim? I mean, that dude is just, I mean, it's like every time you follow that guy, it's like watching a human being walk on water. And I mean, I'm not making any fun. He truly is not only one of the most highly revered and most respected people at 10X headquarters, but I mean, from the bottom of Grant in my heart, I mean, we're grateful for him to be a part of the 10X family. So hey, look, Ken, I know that for everybody here, it's not easy to come in last after such an incredible lineup of speakers, but I'm going to tell you what you got to all know. And that's why we're going to be here to stack it, because this is the stacking component of what's going to go down, y'all. So check it out, man. Y'all started this conversation about expansion during crisis, and I'm going to keep it real because I'm on a full tummy, and I'm going to keep it real tight now because it's the end of your night. And expansion during crisis is really a simple conversation because it comes in two forms. And first, like Grant Cardone would always say, you got to start with definitions before you put things in motion. And now expansion by definition is the act of expanding. It's the quality of state of being expanded, the increase in volume of working. So expansion is work. It ain't going to be easy. Anything you want, you got to go get. Like to get the biscuit, you got to risk it. And so, I mean, an example of all of this, even tonight, has been about setting aside the time for you inside of your home in which you've been relegated in under this thing called quarantine, which has been a great excuse to watch more Netflix than you deserve and sleep more than you require and brush your teeth past noon. I mean, you need to know that when we get out, we got to get on. And I mean, the pitch freak knows that. I mean, David, you know that. I mean, Alan Parker, you know that. So the reality right now is that we have an opportunity to expand ourselves by expanding your game, because the bigger the game, the bigger the game. I couldn't help but notice that Ken starts talking a bit about, who's in my Instagram and that kind of stuff. I know for a lot of people here who've either checked out my account or know who I am, let me speak the truth on who I am. I was not just a masterful selfie taker. I wasn't just amazing at getting on stage with some of the world's greatest thought leaders I think you can ever explore, learn about, and or admire from afar. But the only reason why I found the opportunities I did was because I knew that the bigger my game, the bigger my game. I mean, even now, Grant Cardone's the big game. So in order for me to show up and blow it up, I got to play a bigger game. So it was really easy to actually, in fact, just cruise on in life and just kind of like ride my latter years out. I'm a financial guy in background. I'm a merchant banker by design. I've raised $7.5 billion. I manage a private investment club in real estate and $17.5 billion. I mean, I've done a lot of great things. I've written 14 books. I was a visiting professor at universities. I've done great things. And I'm a high school dropout. So, I mean, for me, I feel like I just won. So, but in order to not be discovered and not found out, I had to play bigger games. In order for no one to ever know that I didn't squeak out of grade 12. I mean, I didn't even make it through grade 10 because it was just boring me. So with that all being behind me, expansion is the opportunity for personal reinvention. Expansion is about being able to re-choose, re-elect, redefine the intention in which is going to guide you and hold you together through the most important times ahead. And that's called getting back. But here's the reality. Oftentimes we live in default and not by design. In other words, we typically get back to the way it once was, not the way it should be. And man, when you get to the way it should be, man, lights just get brighter and the future just becomes within grasp. We all see that? Just give me a thumbs up because this ain't TV. I can see you. You know what I'm saying? All right, good. Now, expansion during crisis is where Ken J wanted me to bring it home. And I said, man, Ken, you're the pastor, and I might be a Jedi master, but just making sure I'm not the short green one, but I won't mind being the short green one who's the cute one because everyone wants a piece of that green little guy because, even I'll buy him. So, with all kidding aside, expansion during crisis is interesting. Now, pay attention closely because I'm going to get to a formula I'm going to leave with all of you. So I'm not here to sell anything, tell anything, or show something. This ain't show and tell. I'm going to show and guide what you must do tonight to let this be the beginning of the rest of your life. Y'all with me? Give me an okay. Give me an okay. All right, good. So expansion is the act of expanding. So first, it's got to be a choice. There has got to be a choice made. Now, a choice must be made to elect this time in your history to say, you know what? I'm going to do something different. I'm going to do something different. Now, Grant's always told me if you made a decision, it came from the act of choosing. Now, that's cool, but choosing what? We often choose too little. I'll get to that in a minute. Now, expansion during crisis, understanding what crisis means. Now, crisis by definition is a turning point for better, for worse. The turning point. That's what crisis is by definition. It's a turning point for better or for worse. It's a moment of distress, but I like to say eustress. The difference between the two is one's good, one's bad. Distress is bad, eustress is good, right? Like distress is bad, but when I won those 2 championship rings, the first 2 that LeBron James won when I was working for the Miami Heat, that was eustress, good stress. Because with good things come good rings, as they say back in Jamaica. You know what I'm saying? So distress and eustress is the difference between the two, and eustress is good stuff. But discording yourself in such a way that you actually disengage is not good. But listen to this, emotionally significant event or a radical change of status in one's life. This is it. So, this was a really great chance, and I want you to write this word down. I'm going to ask you to write down a bunch of more, but this one's important. This is a reset. This is an opportunity for reset, not forget, reset. When I was growing up, man, I used to love my Atari, but I hated not making it past the first round in Pac-Man or Donkey Kong. You know what I would do? I would be so upset that I was actually losing a life before it was necessary. Guess what I would do? Reset it, play it again. And the older we get, the less we do that. Folks, this is a great chance to reset, reaffirm, and recommit to a greater way it can go, to a greater way it can be. What should that be? Bigger game, bigger game, bigger game, bigger game. So in order to expand yourself through crisis, Here's what you need to know, and I'm going to give you the formula. And Ken, tell me to shut up at any time because I'm just going like I'm running for my life here because I mean, everyone's life's at stake right now. So I'm going to keep going until you tell me to shut up. You get what I'm saying, bro? All right, I'm going to take that as yes. So that said, here's what I know. What I know is expanding begins with your commitments. Your commitments gives rise to how you expand. Your commitments gives rise to how you expand. You pick a bigger game, you play for bigger gains. A lot of you have been watching this thing called The Last Dance. And what was so miraculous about covering across 10 chapters of the Michael Jordan dynasty, it wasn't so much that he smoked cigars in between games or that he drank beers when you thought it was fine Cabernet wine. It was the fact that this man was playing for it all or nothing at all. And that's what gave rise to his game. What gave rise to his game was the fact that he played for everything. And us human beings, we play for only one thing, surviving, getting to the next day, getting to the weekend, and making it intact in one piece and live to tell about it. And that ain't living. That's just surviving. So here's the thing. I'm going to give you the formula. And that's consistent with the championship that we, in fact, are really parading around the world as the 10x standard. Do we have any 10x standard folks in here? Any 10x standards in here? Oh, I see you guys. Okay, good, good, good. I like it. I like it. I did that to my mother. She goes, what's with the butterfly? I said, Ma, it's 10. She goes, well, why would you just do this? I said, that's cool too. I'll take it, Ma. That's fine. But it's this. And she goes, that looks like a kung fu move. Put your hands down and have some dinner. So back to the point. Bigger game, bigger game. So here's the truth. Who here by show of hands wouldn't mind discovering their truth? Who's here for some little truth? Because we're about to stack it. Because that's what Nate May's all about. That's why these cowboys have brought you all here into the stable, because we're going to ride into the sunset with some real truth. Here we go. You all ready for this? Here it comes. Now I want you to write this down. It's an exercise I do all the time. For those who don't know me, my background's in the financial services business. I mastered everything around the world of behavioral finance, happiness economics, and behavioral finance in a different way called happiness economics. And why did I do that? Because I wanted to find out the truth behind what is at work. What's really under the hood when people are trying to shift the needle in getting more money. And I'm going to give you all it in 3 minutes. Here it comes. Number one, you set your financial goals too low. And what I mean by that is you set them to match only that which you need. Number two is that when you try to expand your goal, you're expanding it to see what's achievable based on your perceived ability. And by the way, the older we get, the less imagination you've got. That's why you've stopped dreaming and start nightmaring. So the point is that that part of your brain ain't activated. But number three is only when you see others achieve the impossible do you actually get a little spark of seeing it's possible for you too. So what does this all mean to you as a formula? Here it comes. Number one, answer this question for me. If you were to calculate what you need on a monthly basis just to survive, get by, what would that number be? Now, I'm not going to ask the room here for what that is because we've got a few hundred people who are listening in and dialed up. That number should be everything you need to just simply survive. Your rent, mortgage, food, your bills, just to survive. That number should be a monthly number, a monthly figure. Thumbs up if you guys got that number. Thumbs up. Now notice something. See how easy it was for you to figure that out? Y'all would stand in a drive-through at McDonald's and wait longer to decide the inevitable fact that you're going to order a Big Mac and large fries. But that number, you know. Do you want to know why? Because survival is a non-negotiable for you. This brain has perfected only one act, and guess what that act is? The act of surviving. 3 million years in the making, it's only built to do one thing, and that's to survive. Even being here is a threat. Even feeling accomplished is a threat. All of the neurons connected in your brain, the minute you feel a sense of accomplishment, guess what it does? Calm down there, Cynthia. Put yourself in check. We're in danger here. Hold your enthusiasm, Randy Brooks. We know that's an adventurous color for you to wear tonight, but don't be seen because you could be eaten. Right? Why are you laughing so hard, Rosa? Don't be happy. Happiness is always going to be followed by sadness. The brain has an ability to put us back in a check. And a check to what? A check to survive. That's it. Even feeling inspired, motivated, or even enlightened is a threat. So it takes something. That's why you always get what you need. but you rarely get what you deserve. How do you get that? That takes you to the second number. So let's imagine that right now for this moment, that Ken Joslin really, in fact, rocked your world. That thanks to Nate May and all the wonderful people that came on this panel before me, really woke you up to say, hot diggity dog, I want more. Everyone just say more, more. Fantastic. Now you woke the house up. More, right? M-O-R-E for the audibly and challenged. Now, more often means generally 2 times more. So take the number that you wrote down and multiply it by 2. Watch what happens. I'll give you some time. I understand that the pitch freak is reaching for his phone because he's doing the math by way of using the indelible technology available to his devices. Rosa's upset right now because she can't use it because she's filming this right now. So you got to do the math the hard way, young lady. All right, good. Tom's reaching for his counting bead set. Fantastic. Telling you a little bit about his age and the stage in life he's in. Y'all get what I'm saying? That figure, 2 times what you need, delivers what's called what you want. So what that means is what you want is a BMW, but what you need is a car. What you want is an all-inclusive vacation, but what you only need is really just 2 days off. So when you take what you need and you multiply it by 2, you get what you want. But here's the problem in financial psychology 101. The baseline of happiness economics, even when we get what we want, we're not happy. We're not fulfilled. We don't have a sense of accomplishment, and we don't have a shifted relationship to what it means to be prosperous, to be an achiever, to have actually exceeded our expectations or have met a standard. Y'all get what I'm saying? And that's why this math is so important. In case you can't see that, this is why this is so important. Now, this is my necklace. I'm just pulling it up so y'all can see this. It hangs around my neck usually. It's only 15 pounds, but it reminds me of the standard I live up to and through. Y'all get what I'm saying. But write this down, 10x. What you do is you take that number that you need. I see you, Cynthia. You take that number that you need. I like your hair, Cynthia. You take that number that delivers. I saw that, Layla. That number, that which you need, and you multiply it by 10. Now, first, notice something. I'm going to say this in the most unchristian but straight way. Notice how that scared the shit out of you just now. 10 times what you need gives you what the Lord knows you deserve. You see, folks, you're built to get what you need. You were blessed with the gift to get what you want, but it is everyone's God-given right to get what you deserve. And to get what you deserve is a 10x number. And that's why 10x is not just a symbol. It's not just an emblem. It's not just a vector or a tattoo for some. If you ever seen Ken Joslin's 10x tattoo, you should ask him one day. He'll take you across that line, but trust me, you'll be shocked as where he put it. But 10x is the standard you live up to and through. Write that down. 10x is a standard you live up to and through. And the older we get, the less standards we actually hold ourselves to account for. In other words, the older we get, the less of a demonstration we are for the standards we are. We become slippery, complacent, lazy. We make excuses. We squeeze into Lululemons and call that dress up. We buy bigger sizes and say, well, that's just what's next, rather than losing the weight, getting in shape, taking care of ourselves. We moisturize more rather than hydrating like we should. We compromise, we belittle, we downsize our values, our views, and the way in which we should govern ourselves and the performers we are on this planet, and we just make do. So the what you need multiplied by 2 gives you what you want. What you want isn't what you deserve. Take what you need, multiply by 10, and that gives you what you deserve. Now throw some numbers in the chat room for a second. What was the number that you came up with? I just want to see what you got. I want to get a sense of the financial environment I'm in. 48,000, 42,000, 10 million a month. Of course, Ciorrocco. 1.8 million, Nick. 1.8 million Canadian or American? Because 1.8.
You need 1.8 million a month to survive, man. What are you doing? Are you living on a yacht?
Yo, man, that guy's from Canada. You know how much beaver tail and moose knuckles these guys have got to walk with, man?
Ciorrocco ain't from Canada, dude. He's from Maryland. He's an American, man. Don't mess around. He's an American. Phil Mills, 200K a month, 200 grand. Who here by thumbs up noticed that this number not only scared you, but it inspired you? Just give me a thumbs up. This is the 10x, right, kid? This is the 10x number, not what they need, right?
That's right. This is their 10x number. Yeah. Put that in perspective. The pitch freak don't need 250 grand a month. That guy just rolls cool. I mean, like, he doesn't even shave, man. So he's saving at least $2 a day. But I mean, Randy Brooks. So y'all get the point, right? Your 10x number is actually your true financial north. So here's what I want you to write down. Bigger game, bigger game. What governs you to expand through crisis is governed by the game you're playing. The only reason why a guy like Ken Joslin is crushing it is because he's only committed to a 10x game. You see that in his physical life. You see that in his emotional life. You see that in his spiritual life. You see that in the quality of his relationship with his daughters. You see that in the quality of his relationship to his friends, his colleagues, his fans, his followers, you, the faithful. I mean, he is a demonstration of living and having and leading a 10x life. And folks, by the way, as I'm noticing right there, Tasso Marinis, good to see your little boy. God bless him. I mean, here's what I'm gonna tell you. It's not just about how you lead. It's not just gonna be limited to how you live. It will all come under valuation in the legacy you leave. Folks, your legacy is at stake. Yeah? I'm gonna pause here for a minute. I'll let you cut in there, Ken.
That's good, guys. Hey, questions. Questions for Richie. The one thing I did want to mention. I love what you said just a minute ago about the mindset, Richie, about the mindset that when we get there, it doesn't give us the satisfaction that we thought it was going to give. Can you drill down on that just a little bit for me? That's a fantastic truth.
Look, man, I haven't found yet anybody that's researched the history of the psychology of motivation like I have. I need not go through nor impress upon you the kind of names, the celebrities, or the thought leaders I've toured with, written with. It don't even matter. All that really matters is you. That's all that really matters. Like, I mean, I'm an artist and you're my canvas, and without you, I can't be expressed. So really, at the end of the day, you're the celebrity here right now. That all that matters. But let me begin with something. There is an art and there is a science to expanding yourself through crisis. The science are the steps. I just gave you some. But the art is found in your willingness to remain human and be at peace, knowing that you might get some of it right and you might at times be wrong. And being cool, knowing that both are completely okay. But more specifically to your question, Ken, is that in your mind, the moment you make a commitment, the first place that your mind goes for is affirmation, confirmation that you're in the right direction. And that's kind of why we quit diets or we stop supplements. For you old timers, you might remember back in the day, we used to take that protein shake that when you stir it, it looked like, mixed concrete. And if you were really inspired by the Rocky Balboas of the world, you put a couple of raw eggs in there. Well, you tried that regimen for what? A few days, maybe a few weeks, until your mother said, why are you going through all our eggs? Stop it, right? Or you started realizing, oh my God, I'm lactose intolerant. I got to stop it. But you'd measured yourself a couple of times on the scale. And when the scale doesn't move, guess what we do? We stop. So when the mind doesn't see the proof, it confirms the obvious. See, you put yourself at risk. So when you get affirmation, when you can see the positive potential, that is only when you actually then move to find more evidence. A real quick story, just really, really quickly, if I have the time, Ken. My son, for those who know my history, I've had an incredible career, one of which includes working with the Miami Heat in the time when they were making their championship run. Now, when that happened, I was a coach, an advisor to one of the players, Juwan Howard. Now, when I would go, I would take my son with me. Now, my son was very young at the time, small little guy. And when I was on one side of the court or one side of the building working with athletes, my son was hanging out with the kids, the young boys and girls of the athletes, hanging out. And guess what they were doing? Playing basketball. Well, week after week, when this would happen, my son would come back home and he'd want to play basketball. But there's not a single basketball bone in my body. Like, I'm half Brazilian. I'll dance, but I ain't gonna be playing ball. You'll get what I'm saying? And my son stunk. He was horrible. But because he played with these kids, he thought he was amazing. But in his mind, at 6 years of age, he's like, I'm one of the best players, I think, that's possibly here in our country of Canada, Dad. So what do you do as a parent? He's like, I want to go to house league. I'm like, fantastic. So now you spend $200 on a pair of shoes that he'll outgrow in a matter of hours, and you end up getting him into the league. And I got to tell you guys something. He played game in, game out. I got to keep my voice down because I'm actually at home. So he's right upstairs. He's probably like, yo, y'all talking about me? I'm 13 years old. I can hear you, man. But anyways, back to the point. He was on this court week after week, never scored a ball, never got a point, never made a shot, never caught a pass. And every time he came off the field to play, off the court, I'd say, son, are you okay? As a concerned parent, you know what he said? I'm getting better. Did you see them running around me? In his mind, he believed that he was a basketball player, and I didn't have the heart to tell him no. So guess what a really egotistical father would do? You hire a trainer to say, look, if I'm going to get embarrassed here with my son going and running around, and I'm a performance coach at the Miami Heat, man, I better get this kid learning how to play ball. Anyways, fast forward. My son is in the top 1% of basketball players at his age, plays for the Nike Signature Elite League. His godfather is Juwan Howard. And I mean, I'm so proud to call him a byproduct of incredible coaching. No kidding. Incredible believing. And I'm going to write that down. If it's going to be, it'll be up to me. And that's an old adage. But if you're going to aim for that standard, you can't complain the minute you break through it. And so for my son's a byproduct of sheer, not determination, but he knew nothing else. How innocent was that? How beautiful it is. But we wake up to the truth and the reality, and then we start talking ourselves into the 1X life. Let me just get by. Let me pay the bills, drive in the minimum, keep the lights on, keep ourselves fed, keep ourselves happy. And there's nothing wrong with that, by the way. This call is only about expanding ourselves through crisis, not surviving through crisis, right? No one here wants to come out of the quarantine and say, guys, we did it. We made it. Oh my God, we did it. Man, I gained 15 pounds. I feel heavier than ever. I finished watching everything Netflix. I think I crushed it. And I have no new skills. I got no new goals and I got zero intentions. But how are you doing? No one wants to do that. No one wants to do that. This has been the perfect time for all of mankind to press reset and forget. Press reset and forget so that you can go out there and really aim for a bigger game. Back to you, Ken.
Oh, well, Richie,
Man, Richie,
sorry, Ken, go ahead, brother.
no, you're good. Go ahead. You got.
No, Richie, as a buddy, as a friend, as someone that works with you, man, I love your insight. You bring unparalleled passion. You bring unparalleled intentionality. You come prepared. Let that be a lesson to all of us. Is like, I've never been to any call or conversation with Richie where he's not prepared. Do you guys notice that? Like, he actually talked about expansion. He had points on expansion. He had not only scientific reality, but he had financial analysis, all the above. And I just want to thank you for doing that, man. And as part of the MC here, my role is to make sure to thank our sponsors. I know like it was just a really cool thing how you put this together, Kim, but we couldn't do it without Market House Media. We couldn't do it without Site Now. If you look in the chat, you guys can check them out there. They were able to bring this to the table. And by the way, that's why there's no offer at the end of this. There's no pitch. There's no sale. We just hope that the last, literally, guys, 2.5 hours, I can tell you this, one of the best 2.5 hours I've spent in the last 3 weeks. From what Richie brought to the table, to Tim Storey, to Anthony, to on down the road, it's like, guys, it's just, wasn't it really good? Wasn't it just like a really solid Ciorrocco, man? You delivered. It was just like one of those things that touched my heart, challenged my mind, kicked me in the ass, kicked me out the door, whatever you want to call it. It was just one of those that were amazing. So, hey, Ken, I'm going to toss it back to you because you're going to close. I just want to thank you for putting this together, man. I thank you for your vision. I thank you in the midst of a really crazy season of life that you were able to pull this off. And not only did you pull it off, bro, like you brought it. You know what I'm saying, guys? Like, he didn't just bring some average guests. So wouldn't you agree? Like, he brought like a lineup that when this is recorded and somebody rewinds this back and they listen to this, they're going to be like this, holy shit. How did they just offer that for free? That's what I feel like people would say. So, Ken, man, hats off to you, brother.
By the way, I want to put some meat in between these buns before I go over to you, buddy. I'm not being racist there either because you're both just so handsome devils. But I want y'all to write this down. If you're not in a conversation, you forgo transformation. If you're not in a conversation, you forgo transformation. That's why you got to be in places like this, right? That's what I love about Ken and what he does. I mean, he goes live on IG often. He's always hosting something on Facebook. He's always doing stuff like this. And if you're not in a conversation, you forgo transformation because it's the only place action lives. It's the only place action lives is by being in a conversation. Not up in here, not up in here and not with the mirror, right? But in a community like this. So over to you, Ken. Thank you, Nate.
That's so phenomenal. Richie, thank you, my friend, for being a part tonight. Hey, guys, we want to thank you for being a part of our first Grow Stack Drive virtual summit. The website is live for next month. We're going to be back Tuesday, June the 16th at 6:30 p.m. Eastern time. I've got Dr. Greg Reed from none other than 3 Feet from Gold, who's going to be a guest, Coach Michael Burt, Tori Cruz, who's former Miss Missouri, who I actually had on Instagram Live last week. Phenomenal. Josh York from the Gym Guys. I don't know if you saw Josh, one of the fastest growing franchisees in America. He's built his business to where it's worth tens of millions of dollars now. Pitch Freak, my guy, the Pitch Freak, is going to be on. Also, Garen Jones. I've had Garen's one of my favorite people in the world as well. Garen's going to be with us, and my good friend Wes Gay from Storey Brand, from Donald Miller's company, is going to be with us. And Wes is going to talk about just really how to deliver good content to be able to communicate. It's going to be a phenomenal time. Super excited, guys. Tomorrow, this week, I've actually got Coach Burt on with me Thursday. We're actually transitioning from Instagram Live over to Facebook and YouTube Live, so we can actually do it more in a podcast form, so we can actually keep that video and save that video. We made that transition this week. And then next Tuesday, we've got none other than Uncle G is going to be with us next Tuesday. Super excited for that, guys. Listen, thank you so much. We are honored. Nate, Stacy, let the team guys know how much. You have no idea. We've been slacking, texting behind in the background, making sure all the moving parts of 7 or 8 different communicators went. Just honored for you guys, Richie, all the communicators tonight, Tim, Nate, Zach Tatum, all the guys. I would not be able to do what I do if it weren't for the unbelievable team that I've got around and brothers that I have, like my accountability group, Christian Gomez, John Kerr George, TJ Cummings, Devin Bullard, Sean Cohen, some other guys, C-Rock, Antonio, all of you guys. I love you guys. I want you to have a fabulous night tonight. Thank you for making this a big success. And the one thing that would make this a success more than any other thing is you take 2 or 3 nuggets from tonight, apply them to your life, and go out tomorrow and get in massive action in 10X. Richie, I love you, buddy. Thank you for being a part tonight.
Hey, proud of
guys,
you.
y'all
Proud of you,
have,
Uncle Ken. Proud of you, man.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it, Mikey. You
Love you,
guys,
Ken.
you guys
No,
have
man.
a
Invest in others, man. Be significant, not successful. Let's go.